I see dead people.
Hot shit.
Here's Johnny.
Stop.
We have such sights to show you.
Bring the motherfucking ruckus. Fuck you too.
Hell yeah, dude. Hit me with it. I'm glad that I can finally get that on a recording. The soundboard has been years in the making. Is this all it's gonna be now? Just me versus
No.
the soundboard?
Wait, hold on. One is yes, two is no. Wait, is it? Wait, just go the other way around. That's yes. That sounds like a no.
No, it sounds like a no.
The duck says nay.
God damn it. Gotta get one of those in there.
I was literally just like, do I do this? No, I shouldn't. And then I started quacking and I couldn't stop.
As one often does. One starts quacking and the quack never stops. We are here today for a little ditty. And the little ditty is called I don't know what the fuck we're doing. Yeah. That's a no, actually. What you just did was a no.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, I fucked. Okay.
I need to light blood.
This is Lotsa pasta, and this is your host, Glitch Blob.
Yes.
Oh, I'm
Yes,
sorry, Captain. Hi. Hi.
This is
I didn't see you there.
Oh, no,
hi.
you can lead
How are
this
you?
one. That's fine. I'll just tell you what stories we're reading.
No.
If you want to take the fucking reins, go for it, man.
I'm over here. I'm hanging out now. What are you talking about?
He literally gets up and walks away from the desk.
I'm leaving the room.
What I picked up I've always wanted one, and now that I have one, it's probably dangerous, but I picked up one of those like little
really
blowtorch lighters.
Oh yeah.
It's like the size of my hand though, which is why it's cool.
Okay.
So yeah, if you could hear this.
Nope.
Well, let me tell you, it was fucking cool.
Wait. Hold on. Yeah, there you go.
Fuck off.
Okay, there you go.
I already hate the
Discord.
soundboard.
I'm not gonna do it anymore.
No,
I literally
no.
at the beginning
And
of this
by
was like,
hate,
should I?
By hate, I mean love, and continue doing it whenever you want. It is now a part of your character. Fair enough. So, I picked up a cool little blowtorch, and I've been using it to light all of my blunts, and it's the coolest and probably most dangerous.
Oh, like an actual what is supposed to be an actual cigar like torch lighter.
Oh yeah.
Like the hand, I see what you're saying. The handheld one.
It's the size of my palm.
Honestly, I got like a deal a long time ago on like a fucking blowtorch, like a fucking yeah.
Well, you do dabs.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
You do the hard dabs out there in CO. That's your MO.
I don't know what you're talking about. Mary who? Who?
You were just telling me the other day how you're married to Wada. You've met Mary and you wanna.
Mary, you wanna?
we were
Mary's
playing,
like, you wanna?
We were playing Outlast
like,
Trials, and Glitch started doing dabs like in the middle of a session because he's that much of a pro at Outlast Trials already, despite the fact that it came out two weeks ago.
I just played it too much. I'm sorry.
Not even 2 weeks. It's been like 11 days, and you're
when I saw the reborn
fucking...
count get to like 100, I was like, all right, overdrive mode, must do all missions. They're fucking hard. It's fucking hard.
No, it's tough, but we've been doing a good job, you and I. And I'll give a little shout out to Frowns McBoohoo. He's been trying his best.
He's been healing.
Time permitted. He's the heels.
Yeah, touche. No, he's about to get a boss computer. His computer now screams. His fan is screaming. It's literally like screaming. It's a fucking jet engine. It's fucking concerning.
I'm like
glad he's getting a new computer.
People are going to know that the reason I haven't recorded with him despite having bought him a professional microphone when he moved, is because his computer literally sounds like an airplane turbine whenever
Yeah,
he
it's
turns it
fucking
on.
frightening.
So he
And now
told
it
me
started to
he's going to get a
squeal and
desktop,
everything.
which bodes well for the podcast future because he needs to use that fucking microphone I got him.
Oh god.
I
Oh, that's
picked him
fun.
up
Oh,
I picked him up a snowball before he moved.
nice.
And,
Nice.
and I said
Fucking snowball.
you better fucking use this.
What do you mean he has a
And he has it.
headset that cuts out now?
Yeah, he has a
I mean, he's
headset that
sad with
doesn't
it.
work.
He's literally disappointed with
I
it. I mean,
almost said something really mean to him when he said he has a
no.
headset that doesn't work. I was like, yeah, it's a shame you don't have like a professional microphone sitting in a fucking box somewhere. If
No, that would
only
be
he
crazy.
knew. If only he put the work into plugging it in.
Oh, I know he will when he has the desktop, honestly. Most
Yeah.
likely.
Once the desktop is set up, then the
Yeah,
microphone
it's a whole
stays in one
different
place and
situation.
it stays connected, which is why the fucking god damn it, what do I call this? It's not my
You got it, bud. I believe in you.
it's not my blue. My Yeti
See,
is over there. I take my Yeti places basically.
I see
Whenever
what
I
you're
need
saying.
to
I see what you're
record
saying.
with someone,
My
I
shit don't
record
move.
with when I record with people in different places. I actually can't see what my studio mic is, but because it's attached to a large gimbal arm that reaches across the room, so I can record comfortably from my
Yeah,
couch. It's hard to paint the picture for everyone, but I have a nice little
yeah.
casting couch in a room that's
That's a
probably.
casting couch.
I have a
Wait,
room.
I'm
It's
not on
maybe
my
10
other
by
Discord
10.
has the Pornhub sound, and I was like, I was all
You
ready to play
almost did
that.
it. Yeah.
I put hand to mouse. I realized we were in the right spot.
I have a little 10 by 10 room in this basement that is perfect for recording.
Sounds worse for the casting couch.
But all that's in here is my desk, my couch, some storage stuff, and all of my horror
Your
memorabilia
your
on,
mic
on
and
all
your
of the
PC.
walls.
Okay.
And well, yeah, my PC is a part of my desk and it's a part of my setup. Um, you know, it's just it is such a tiny little room with only one fucking purpose, and you know
Yeah.
it's just to
Uh,
sell the idea. It's to sell the setup. So once Frowns has a setup, he'll be using that mic, and we'll be getting him back on the show, and we'll be recording from, different places, much like how you and I record from
yeah,
across
I
the
have my nice
fucking
desk and
country.
everything. I'm my Wacom over here, my monitor over here, my monitor over here, and my other drawing table over here.
I was gonna say you have a lot of shit going on. You have a
No.
large setup.
Also, I have to say, I watched Skinamarink this morning while I was waiting for you.
Oh yeah, we could always
I
talk about that.
just side note, I was bored for the first little bit, obviously
Fair.
because it's very atmospheric and it
Never gonna
drags
fight
out.
that. Yeah.
And then shit takes a turn, and I was like, oh fuck,
Uh,
spoilers.
yeah, I didn't get hooked until the sequence I talked about in episode, I want to say 252, when I had or it might even been with Cannibal Siren in
Bring it back.
251, but in one of the most recent episodes, like 5 or so episodes ago, I talk about the sequence that happens when the daughter goes upstairs, the whole look under the bed.
Oh yeah.
That's like a half
Okay.
hour in. So from that
Yeah.
point, from a half hour into the end, I was into it. But that first half hour, man, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. It's real
Yeah.
fucking slow. It's real. It's
Because like
I
even the
made the
first,
metaphor of watching paint dry literally.
I may have actually referenced this on the show before, but I believe it's called The Veil of Night. Also, a kind of like slow kind of movie, but like kind of like had the same kind of vibes, but also had some Outlast feels over here, some Outlast One feels with like the film grain. And I
Right.
actually wanted to ask you: have you watched Horror in the High Desert?
I just want to be like horror in the high desert. Um,
Horror in the High Deserts? No. Is that
No,
a
no,
no?
no, 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 no. I have not.
Oh, oh, oh. Okay, so
Horror in the High Desert, and what was the other one you mentioned?
I don't. I was
Movie.
focused on that. Oh,
Skinamarink.
A Veil of Night, I
Veil of
believe.
Night. Okay, I don't
Fast of
remember
Night,
you
Fast of
mentioning
Night.
that one, but
It's
I
it's
also
almost
might have
podcasty,
totally
but
forgotten.
it's about like War of the Worlds kind of moment, but it's very like
But
they're
I'm
at like
into
the
that.
switchboards, like talking to a bunch of people and shit. It's actually really cool.
What's going
Um,
on with horror in the high desert?
so it's and spoilers. If somebody has said that this movie isn't like a real documentary, just go in thinking that it's a real documentary,
Yeah,
and
I mean that's always the headspace you have to.
documentary. But like I don't know, the first time that I saw it, I was like really invested, and then there's like a whole guy with the camera scene, and there's just one specific moment that like in night vision doesn't look like a dude is fucking there, and some dude just like stands up and you're like, oh fuck,
Okay,
oh
yeah,
fucking shit.
yeah,
And it's like that kind of shit that like you just got to get me on like one good fucking scare. It doesn't even have to be a jump scare. I'll be like I'll give that movie a slow clap. But
yeah. I
I don't
mean,
really like the documentary style movies like uh like I haven't even watched like Skinwalker Ranch because I'm just like
and you really
ugh.
do mean faux documentary, like mockumentary
Yeah, yeah,
type
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
that's a
Yeah, that one.
niche. That's a niche that I don't
But
know
I would
I've
say
touched before. Really, I don't
I
even
just
have
watched the
anything
second
really.
one,
Yeah.
and I would Minerva is the second one. But if you have some time, you kind of like that genre. I mean, definitely give it a chance. I like definitely like just like Skinamarink, you really have to put yourself in like an atmospheric moment, like really like
Hmm.
be in the dark and watch that shit. But
Oh, dude, I
fucking
watched
slow clap.
I watched fucking Phil Tippett's Mad God the other week,
Mm.
and
I actually watched it not that long ago as well.
talk
Actually,
about
with
having
Hannah.
to be in the right place at the right time to in the right mood to watch something. The stars needed to
Yeah.
align for that, and I still didn't have a good time. You
No,
know,
I honestly put it off multiple times. Hannah was just like, "Mad God tonight." I'm like, no, 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 no. Like I have to like
even
maybe be
she
kind of
wanted to
drunk. I don't
watch
even
it.
know.
Jeez.
Like,
I was gonna
well, it's
say
like,
my alley
well,
cat
because
didn't want to touch that shit with a 10-foot pole. She was like, no, thank
well,
you. I
fucking, we
showed
had
her
like
Evil
just
Dead
watched.
2013 the other day, and she said, "Oh, this is fucking gnarly." And I said, "You really are getting more into, like, you're getting more into horror." I'm proud of her. She's getting more into
Yeah,
horror. There's something really, she's picked up that part of my character, and she's I take her to horror nights like every year, and she's stopped like, I'm not saying she's not scared anymore, but like. We go in with aplomb now. We go in with a smile on
yeah.
our faces. So for you to just outright say like, "Oh, well, my girl is like, let's watch Mad God," it's like I had to convince a dude to come over to watch Mad God with me. Like I had to
Well,
like
like
pay him.
because like honestly, we like it was. I'm pretty sure Henry Zabrowski that had fucking was just like, oh, dude, I fucking love Mad God, like constantly, and like
Oh, I haven't
references
been
it like too
listening.
much.
I haven't
So like,
listened
or
in
like
like a year.
he'll,
Yeah.
he'll like throw in every once in a while, but it's like he's just was so ecstatic for like the period of time that it was initially coming out because he's like, dude, this guy took his whole
No, I
fucking
only
life.
heard
But
purely
like,
word
it's
of
just
mouth.
fucking
Purely word
so
of
that's the
mouth,
only
man. I used to
reason
watch. I saw all
actually.
those ads
Okay.
on like Shutter.
I've never. Oh, okay, touche. I also have seen those ads actually online.
And that's it was like from the
I
visionary
see what you're
mind of
saying.
Steven
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Spielberg,
yeah,
from the
yeah.
stop motion effects of George Lucas, here comes
But obviously
the
the
mad
feel of that
mind.
trailer is not the same as the fucking whatever the
It
fuck.
prepared me.
Like
It
I
definitely
guess
prepared me
cool.
what I was in for. And
Like
here
I've seen some.
let me clarify.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like the first 60% of Mad God.
Yeah, no, like it's there's
It
definitely
it
very
gets
interesting
off the
bits into it.
rails. I feel like live action sequence onward, which is maybe 40 minutes remaining
Yeah,
in the movie.
yeah, I agree.
Um,
Because
the the
it
minute
just
they
does.
bring him
Yeah,
in and
some of
there
it just does
and it
seem.
starts to
Yeah,
get different like dimensions and shit,
yeah,
I was just like,
I guess it
nah,
does,
I'm
but
out. I liked the linear storytelling of just a
Okay.
guy kind of walking through a terrifying landscape. I was into that. And then,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. I
spoilers,
do
he
agree with
gets
that.
taken out and then his corpse gets, you
And
know,
then a whole nother fucking thing is going on,
yeah, and
and
then
then
a
you're like,
whole
"What
nother
the
thing
fuck
is
is
going
happening
on,
now?"
and
Yeah,
that's where I kind of said,
I was into the dude. Yeah, I was into the dude doing cool things. Then you're like, "Okay,
you
what is
could
happening
tell.
now?"
What did it take? It took the dude 15 years to make the movie, something like that.
I can't recall
Maybe even
specifically.
more.
I'd have to look it up. Yeah,
actually, I
I
think
think
it
it was
might have
like
been
like
30.
I want to. Yeah, I was saying. I want to say it was like a lot longer
It
than
was
that,
20
but
to
I
30,
have no
but it sat
idea.
on ice for
I'd have to look
15,
at it.
where he didn't have like any help from anybody. I'm pretty sure, and like
I, I don't
I
know, dude.
think that's
I've
where
seen some
the
really like
I think that's where
fucking
the
weird.
split comes in. Really,
Yeah,
you're not the same person you were when you wrote this 15 years ago, and now you're just
yeah,
picking
yeah.
it
It's a
back up.
whole different thing. Yeah,
Yeah, the product kind of, and for me that like,
trailed off slightly.
yeah,
I mean, you can kind of see
we
his
could have
own
just
like
ended it right at that
age.
sequence and then called the next
Yeah,
sequence a completely different like
but
chapter.
I mean,
You
you
know?
would appreciate this as well as like as an art school perspective. Somebody
Oh,
would be
I
like,
love stop motion. Stop motion was
but like,
something that like got me into film. Like that's why I
but I mean, like,
watched it. You know?
as an art school in general perspective, somebody would just be like, no, like it's a a long story term of the life and like failure in the fragile mind of humankind.
Oh yeah,
Like
the bleak kind of
yeah, yeah.
existential nihilism of mankind. The kind
But
of the dirty, ugly truth that no one wants to kind of acknowledge about the human race. You know?
but even that, like I've just seen so many like weird fucking art like videos. I don't know how much you can actually relate to this, but we would have like Wednesday lectures in like a theater and just fucking watch really weird like
Oh, I
one
took
of them
film
was just like a
analysis. Oh yeah,
bunch of Chinese dudes with like drill dicks just like humping everything and you're like,
yeah,
what the fuck is happening? It's like fucking
nice.
I'm like kind of drunk in this 8 o'clock Wednesday class that I don't want to be in. Like,
I would,
what the fuck is
I
this
would only
movie?
really take, I would roll a spliff before my
Mm.
thesis classes, but I wouldn't do it for the movies because I'd be afraid of falling asleep. If I get too comfy, I fall asleep. And
Yes, I feel that.
during film analysis, we really only watched a lot of like art house shit. Really, I never really watched anything experimental. The most experimental things got
That's probably
was
for the
like,
best, man.
yeah,
I feel like fuck
like the
horror,
most
man. Jesus
experimental for
Christ.
me, like even in the same horror genre as like Un Chien Andalou, the French filmmaker, the one about like cutting up the woman's face to, you know, to quote unquote dissect beauty, you know. I don't know if you're aware of that one.
No, now I
Um,
do.
yeah, the cutting open of the eye is the craziest scene because they, you
That's
know, it
fun.
looks so real when the dude slices it open. Um, they use like an actual animal's eye for the scene. Um,
I see, I see.
yeah,
I mean, like,
man.
I like that obscure shit, but it's like, how
No, and
obscure is
that's it's
obscure
and again, and Shannon
coming
Deleu isn't
around?
any type of long, you know, artistic movement of it or anything, but
I don't even know what
it's
the fuck it is.
surrealism in one of its earliest forms. I think like I want to say early 1900s. It's black and white.
Mm.
There's only music.
Yes, so
It's
you
pre
actually did like
1920s.
yeah, so you actually did actual film though. We were just watching fucking some weird ass art shit. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like,
Oh,
nah,
and then
watch
I was gonna say, and then there was the
I'm like,
other
nah.
side of it. For when I got to art school, we watched. The weirdest thing I would say
Yeah.
is I watched a lot of acid wave stuff at behest of one of my professors, which I was into. I found it
That's kind
cool.
of funny though.
And then
I mean, you're just vibing, bruh.
Buto, if you know what Buto is, the kind of Asian dance form where they look like they're like twitching and dancing and kind of they're always wearing like really pale clownish makeup. They're meant to look like deadly
Sounds like me at the
spirits.
club.
It's crazy.
Just
But
sounds
I'm
like
real
me
into
going
it.
out to the club. I don't
But
know
I'm
what
real
you're talking
into
about.
it at the same time. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, no, I did see a lot of weird shit when I was in college for
well,
sure.
like even for performance art too, like the weirdest thing hands down I've ever. Okay, there's actually some really fucked up shit, but like just like there's a New York studio that some guy was just like there was holes in the floorboard.
Yeah.
And some guy just put up a normal gallery and dude was just jerking off below the floorboards. And I was like, how do you not like How is this? How do you not like get arrested? How is this not like
That's a
a
good
thing?
point.
Yeah, like how is that?
When do you draw the line for quote unquote
Yeah. What is
performance art
happening
and
here?
self-indulgence? That is funny.
I mean,
though. I do like that
Jesus fucking
metaphor
Christ.
that these people walk in here and just kind of talk shit and self-pleasure themselves to seem intellectual.
Yeah.
The gallery.
Like,
I hate the gallery
I
space.
really, I'm just
You,
jerking
me,
off
and
under your
Cannibal Siren have
floorboards.
talked about the gallery space many
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
It's a mockery. It's a joke. It doesn't exist.
Art is expression of some sort of form or emotion.
Art
so,
is just expression.
You know, so art
You can
can
just
be
even leave
anything.
the sentence at that. Art is just expression. Don't pretend to know any more or any less than anyone
Yeah.
else, and then don't feel like they're disagreeing with you just because they saw something that you're not. Just you can see a parent. it's. I mean, as long as we're not getting into the super impressionism, poppy side of things, you could tell what talent is. You could tell what
Yeah.
talent is and like how much time it took for someone to do something. Like, I love referencing Art School Confidential because like the movie is just it's the
Mm.
perfect representation of what art school was, which
I feel
is
like you just like jogged my memory. I like was like I don't remember that. I
the
was like,
entire
wait, fuck.
plot of
I
that
think I've seen
movie. I
this
could
like a
sum it
long
up
ass
in
time
one
ago.
scene. I could sum it up in one scene. There's
Okay,
this dude who just draws and draws and
I
draws, and
believe in
he's
you.
wonderful at it, and he dedicates his entire life to it, and he goes to college, and he takes a class under John Malkovich, and his pictures are amazing,
Oh,
and you could tell how much
okay.
time he
Wait,
puts into it.
okay. I remember
And then
this.
in the same exact fucking class is a jock who went to his high school, who, like, plays football and doesn't give a shit and sucks at art, draws the shittiest little car on a single blank piece of paper that I've it's so jokingly funny bad. It is so bad. But John Malkovich just gets so fucking roped into it, thinking it's like the purest like expression of nihilistic pop art that he's like ever seen, like non-commercialism, like fuck the man type of like mentality. And this kid is just watching as the entire class just praises this 3-year-old drawing of a car to the point where like it starts to get like school-wide recognition, national recognition, and this kid is just watching all of this happen. Like the main character of the movie is just watching all of this happen. And even though he's been drawing every day of his life and he's been trying so hard and he's trying to work to get into that same spotlight, everyone thinks his stuff sucks. But this guy who drew a drawing of a car in a week or in a day or in a couple hours with what looks like crayons or colored pencils gets like worldwide recognition for
I
his
mean,
art.
I
And
don't
it
feel
is
that personally. I don't know what you're talking about.
it is the funniest and most accurate fucking representation of art school that I've ever seen.
So well, okay, I was gonna rant actually, but I'm gonna keep it short. But it's unfortunate that like the new draw good is draw bad, and that's all.
There's an element to where I agree
That's all.
with you. There's an element to where I agree with you.
Yeah. It's just that there is now a market for the draw bad, and I think it's
Oh,
really
there's
funny. There's even
yeah.
like reference. I feel like if you've ever read the manga The Fable, it's just an assassin trying to do like real things, but similar situation. He like just draws a random thing for a company, and they're like, "We love your childlike charm." And fucking this other guy, he's like, "I've been with this company for fucking 25 fucking years. Fuck you, dude." Like, and he's just, I just drew a thing because I thought it looked nice.
Right.
Like, fucking Forrest Gump ass. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, okay, touche though. Why not? Okay, what are we even doing today?
Yeah,
What are we talking about?
what we
We
do is
haven't
we
derailed,
get off topic
derailed,
and we
derailed,
talk
derailed, derailed,
and we talk
derailed,
about
derailed,
whatever we feel like talking about, which is fine
derailed,
because
derailed,
we're all allowed. we're all, we're all
derailed,
allowed
derail everything.
our light blunt and let's talk about whatever's going on in horror and in the
Hey,
world.
yeah.
Art art and cinema and horror and storytelling. It all has similar value. Um, I still haven't had the chance to watch The Outwaters. That was the other one that I told you to watch.
Okay, I was gonna watch it this morning, but I actually got really distracted into watching.
So I actually haven't watched
Minerva
it myself
and
either.
Skinamarink.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks good. I mean, like I've just been like trying to find something because I feel like we also have a little bit of a different type of horror, different type of horror, like. Because it's like
I'm
when
not trying
me and
to make
Hanno
it sound like this is my taste. Or
No.
This is just someone telling me to watch it.
Like example, like me and Hannah just watched Terrifier 2.
Yeah.
And she's just like, because it's like The Thing, like kind of gore, like very realistic. Like he's just fucking reaching into the dude's face and shit. And she's like, "Oh, fucking awesome! I fucking love this shit." Because she's like likes the Star Trek shit, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, not Trek. Star Trek. I feel like my New York accent comes out there.
I thought the second one was better than the first one, and I really only dedicate that to the writing of the second one. The first one didn't have any type.
I was
of
thinking the
strong
same
plot
thing.
point. The first one is
We were
just a haunted
discussing
house
the same,
movie.
actually.
The second one actually has like a heroine. It actually has.
It just smash them.
It has a final.
Yeah, the first one is just do a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even if
Art's fun. Art makes me laugh. I'm not. I
Yeah.
know there are earlier
honestly,
podcast
specifically the
episodes
second
of me
one.
kind of shitting on the first one, but let's be honest.
It is really.
It was
just
really only
slasher.
popular because it chopped a woman in half. Like that's the only.
Yeah,
Word of mouth
I mean,
spread
that's
that a practical
scene,
effect
you know?
of a woman being chopped vagina first down to her head.
That's some Scarface
that
shit. Like that's a scene. Yeah. I mean, even his introduction in All Hallows Eve, right?
Yeah, the short.
Like I feel like that just really picked up momentum for him. But I do like Art as a character on the second one. Him in the laundromat, it was fucking hilarious.
Laundromat's great.
Fucking lost my shit. Actually hilarious, and I love that.
And
it's
I
like,
was gonna even say, from the minute he rides that tiny tricycle into the warehouse on the first one, honking the fucking horn.
That whole dream scene is actually fucking.
From that point onward, I was a fan of Art because I just found that fucking hilarious. He is not taking his job as a Terrifier seriously, and that's the appeal of Art. He does his own thing. Not to
spoiler. Wait. No, I'm not
came
gonna
out
do that. I feel like the air horn thing is really loud.
Do it.
I'm curious to see what they're gonna do as a follow up because I don't know how I feel about that girl, but she's like grabbed his head, so I hope that it's just him.
Well, how many times has he been like killed and come back?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. That it's not just like a.
I mean.
Zordon to the Power Rangers kind of situation over here. Like,
what a crazy analogy. What I'm saying is, if Michael Myers can do this shit with a Cult of Thorns, that I'm okay
Jason,
with other...
Jason X, Jason 15, Jason 18 in the hood.
Jason is a Deadite.
It's the same thing.
It's the same school of evil dead theory, which is even when you chop them to pieces, there's nothing stopping the pieces from getting back together and doing some dumb shit.
So also back to like
dumb shit.
Well, okay. So also back to like the type of horror too. It's like I recently fucking watched the fucking Vince Vaughn Freaky. By the way.
Yeah, I had to watch that because it was a horror
choice movie.
It was a horror night house last year. It was paired up. It was a 2-part horror night house with Black Phone.
Oh, okay. I have not seen Black Phone. I've heard mixed reviews, and I'm scared to watch it. But
Black Phone's good.
Okay.
Black Phone is a watch. If you thought Freaky was a watch, Black Phone is a watch.
It's the same thing like Skinamarink. Like it's a choice audience, But I want more fucking slasher movies to just own up and say that they're a fucking comedy. Like that they're slightly satirical. Like I just want, because honestly, Freaky was like fucking hilarious because it was just serious enough that it like just kept playing the perfect tropes.
The same director of Happy Death Day. Happy Death Day is the same.
Oh, I didn't actually watch those. They look
No, you
good,
should watch
ish.
them. You should
I
watch
just
them.
yeah
I
okay
love.
because
I
that's why I don't like
I will
slasher movies
gush
because
for years about any movie that finds a way to use the Groundhog Day, repeat the same day mechanic, and
touche.
still make a good movie. And Happy Death Day does that. There's
See,
also
I like
there's a comedy film on Netflix about a kid who restarts his day whenever he ejaculates, and I want to say it's called I think it's called Premature. The kid wants to lose his virginity before he graduates, and he finds a way to repeat the same day to try and get laid by the hottest girl in school, and it's just funny
I
because
feel like I have
every time
seen a
he
trailer
comes
for this.
prematurely, he restarts the day, and he always goes, "Fuck, I was right there," I was almost in the...
Wait, is it coming at all or is it prematurely? Because that's also hilarious.
Well, it's the idea of non-sex related orgasming. It's he's not gonna stop repeating the day until he loses his virginity, basically.
Oh no!
But what
Blue
Happy
balls
Death Day is if she could get through
Blue
a full
balls for
day,
years.
if she could get through a full day without dying,
Without
that's
nutting.
the plot of Happy Death Day. I'm into it. I love Groundhog Day. I don't think they're the only. I don't think it's the only movie that can have that mechanic.
I do enjoy that.
I'm okay with people using that plot device.
It's and again I was more turned off by it because it's like I really enjoy a good like slasher-esque movie like you can do that shit good back in the day, but I want to see like Idle Hands, stuff like that. It was like where it kind of like started falling off after that, like
Sure.
kind of early 2000s. Now it's just everything is a trope.
Sure.
But I lost my grip. What was I saying?
We were just saying that horror changes, man.
Sorry, Smile. Like that's like a movie that like it's just simple, and the trailer made it look like trash. But like it was a simple but effective movie, and that's like all I really want sometimes. Like I just want a
I
good
thought
scary movie.
Smile's
But
fine.
there's so many
When people
slashers
have
that just
asked
like
me,
overkill that shit.
Yeah, I think the only redeeming thing for Smile is that it actually follows through. I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of examples
Like, it wasn't
of
like
writing in recent movies where they set up a concept like that and then they just don't deliver or they fake out or something. And the fact that there
I'm not
is
saying, like, it's an
actually a
amazing
monster
movie,
and there
but-
is actually a curse and there is actually something going on and it's actually kind of scary looking, yeah, you win by the end of the movie for me. I would compare that a lot to that first time director who got shafted, The Empty Man. If you it's a pretty long movie, but the first
I don't think I actually saw
the first half hour is completely unrelated, and if you were to watch the first half hour, you'd be like, "What the fuck?" But then the next hour and a half, is really experimental storytelling in like tulpa, just flat out tulpa, and
And that's always I don't.
But that's
you do
the
it
thing,
well, I
like
really like a good
it's the
tulpa.
idea that Smile does the tulpa thing too, because the
Yeah.
more you think about it, the more you believe in it, the more you give it power. That's tulpa 101. So the reason for the comparison is that here are two examples of the same movie, yet Empty Man really goes above and beyond to try and sell it as much as possible, and Smile kind of takes the kind of commercial everyman approach where it's just simple storytelling, no huge narrative stretches, twists, or turns. I'm just selling you a product and it's okay, and that's fine.
Yeah, because it's not like an
And that's
insane.
fine.
It's not like the best movie ever, or anything of the sort. But it's over, especially something in the past few years.
It's
like
better than nothing.
Yeah.
I would rather
Yeah,
watch
agreed.
that than watch some bullshit rom-com.
And I'm also not trying to fucking. I feel like it's like whenever I hear like a something man in a horror movie now, it's like when yo bro, you listen to Little Dicks in Your Mouth. Be like, no, I fucking haven't. Like,
Little dicks in
just
your
like
mouth.
like any rapper with just any mumble rapper with like Lil in their name. It's like fucking.
Yeah.
Oh, you want to watch Bye Man, the Scene Man, the not so good man, the kind of a fuck man. Like What is stop?
That is
It's like
that
isekai
is
names.
kind
Like,
of
just get out of here.
the downfall. The downfall is definitely in the title, because if they had called it anything else, it would have been cool.
Oh, I'm a vending machine from another universe trying to give you snacks in my reincarnated world. Shut up. I'm not mad about it.
Oh, we're all mad about it. Yeah.
But yeah, glad at least that happened.
When I don't talk about horror with many people anymore, because there aren't many people on this show who are as avid consumers. So it's
Yeah, like I
fine that
mean,
we
even in
divulge
our
every once in a while.
I mean, even in our
uh
D&D group, I like bring up horror, and everybody's like, "Nah, I'm fucking
oh
nope."
yeah.
I'm like, "Oh
Even
damn, okay, all right."
everyone who is in our D&D group is now on the podcast, so it's fine talking about it, but like I'm hosting I'm DMing a group of Sofa King, Cannibal Siren, Frowns McBoohoo, Glitch Blob, and then Midnight Bride and Afternoon Groom. All six of them are in my D&D group, and I've been writing a story and going through with it, and it's really fun. But I would say all of them have fully admitted that they don't go near horror products nearly as much, because they're just flat out pussies.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, y'all watch like Lights Out, and they're like, "What the fuck? No, why?
Sofa
No,
King doesn't
stop
watch
it."
much of anything. Cannibal Siren doesn't like to be afraid. Uh, Frowns McBoohoo only really watches like foreign flicks. He's
Mm,
really kind of
mm. I mean, I feel that, dude.
reserved. He likes the artistic things.
Mm.
A lot of Asian, French, and
Yeah,
German, which is
I'll
fine
say
because there's lots
good
of great
Korean
stuff in each.
horror,
Yeah, Korean
honestly. That'd
for
be like
sure.
really fucking wild.
And then Afternoon Groom and Midnight Bride just said that they go to see a lot of movies, and that
Yeah.
horror is just not one that they visit too much unless it's mainstream. They don't go out of, it's not something they go looking for, essentially.
Yeah, no, they probably went to like see Insidious, and that's probably like their limits, you know.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, no, not a bad thing. I think it's.
I
I just always
compare all
like.
things in
I'm just
life to
like,
my
yes,
mother.
yes.
My mother will
Yeah.
not watch a single horror movie, and I find that very close-minded. There is so much about life you learn from horrifying situations, and the I think, like, honestly, it comes back to me a lot of times, but it's the it's the peanut butter that holds my Ritz crackers together when it comes to dealing with shitty things in life, because I think uh I told the story about like helping this dude out who's like bleeding out on the ground. And the only reason I knew how to do any of that was because I've watched horror movies, and I know that you're supposed to hold things a certain way and do things a certain way and patch things up a certain way. And I also make that same nod to horror video games.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's like, uh, I just remember being asked like, "Oh, are you a nurse?" And I was just like, no, like, hands covered in blood. Like, no, I'm not, but I'm not gonna, like, I'm also not gonna just watch this dude bleed out on the floor.
I would say same but different. I've just hurt myself a lot in my life, so I just like, especially like
See,
skateboarding.
you've
I'm not a part of this shit.
unfortunately just done it to
So I'm just
yourself.
like, no, can we get water and like a fucking bandage? Like somebody get some fucking alcohol. Like Jesus Christ.
I'm lucky. I haven't really ever done anything to damage myself too far. I haven't even broken anything. So,
Yeah.
I'm
Fucking
very
knock on wood right fucking
I'm
now.
risk averse. Yeah, I got wood.
Don't even
Don't
talk
worry.
about it,
I got
man.
wood.
Don't that not that one. No. Father. Father, no. No, no,
Father.
not there, father.
Yeah, I watched all of the Wreck movies the other week with my
What
buddy
is the
Deputy
wreck?
Dewey. Wreck is in recording. The Spanish
Oh,
zombie.
wait. Okay, you watched
All
the
four of them.
non-American one though.
Yeah, all four of them. There's four
Oh.
Spanish flicks.
Me and Hannah actually did that a while ago.
I had never seen them. I had only seen the first one and compared it to Quarantine, which is
It,
ass.
it's like They're still good. I would say if you've never seen them before, they're still good.
They were watchable for sure.
They're
The fourth one
definitely a
is kind of
time
ass,
period.
and I
Yeah.
like the third one.
It's very specifically the third one is supposed to be like the best
Well,
out
it's
of
because it's the
the
only one that's a movie and it's unrelated to the rest of the series.
yeah.
It's not the
But
first person perspective kind of
but
found
it's also like
footage.
if you were to right now like go back and fucking watch Blair Witch Project, you're like, oh, this is a fucking joke. Like this is like not.
I don't know.
But,
There's
like, you know.
aspects of Blair Witch. But
Well,
that's
maybe personally, I'm thinking of like maybe even like how about this? Like watching like The Cube again or something. You're just like, oh, this looks like time
Yeah.
period.
I mean,
You know.
I look at the '90s and I go, that's a fair trade. I watch a
Touche.
lot of old shit. Like even just this week,
Stop saying touche.
I watched fucking Leviathan. Have you seen Leviathan?
Um,
The
I want to say
shitty
yes.
fish monsters.
Yeah, I want to say yes because I got really
Awful
excited about it
special
because I
effects,
love the
but product
thought,
of
and
its
then
time.
I think I may have like blacked it out because there's like a few movies that like came out back to back. It was like that one and whatever the house. Yeah, because Leviathan was like a puzzle movie, right? Like it was like she was like the one was like piecing her mind back together or something.
No, Leviathan is just a bunch of dudes
Hmm.
underwater in a submarine with fish monsters.
Okay. I'm thinking of a different movie.
No, but
God, what am I thinking
I'm
of, though?
talking that old school creature feature bullshit where the special effects are ass. You know,
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
what's another comparison? I just watched same type of vein, different same actor Peter Weller also in Leviathan, I'm pretty sure. Screamer, the planet with the prototype robots that fucking annihilate like a army squad who gets called in to like
It's
decommission
like
them.
on one of my like watch lists.
Yeah, no, hell of a film, awful special
Okay.
effects, total product of its time. Amazing watch.
Okay.
Amazing watch. But that's what I mean. Like I watched Rec 3 kind of saying, "Oh, this is definitely a product of the early 2000s
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
splatter Day of the Dead bullshit." And like it's fine.
Yeah. Well, it's like I was explaining the same thing of like Outlast 1 the other day. It's like, you know, if you're gonna play a PS2 game, you gotta be ready for PS2 graphics, you know.
Very good point.
Mm.
Yeah, we speaking of Outlast, just you know,
I don't have a
constantly
problem. I don't have
constantly
a fucking
getting that
problem at
itch
all.
to jump in there and watch Electro Daddy shock his testes and
Sometimes
watch
you just need a little jolt.
Mother Gooseberry make out with a drill puppet.
Okay, can I say like I love the game, but like can you not do the so just some of the fucking like waiting cutscenes are so fucking insane.
The overt MK
Like
Ultra mind
not
control
even insane,
cutscenes.
but it's just like you.
I love the guy who's
I
just
call her
pulling the
Jeff Dunham.
sausage, the how it's made out of his stomach, and then just looks at the camera and he's just like, "Huh."
Yeah. See, there's so many weird spots that it's like really aggressive, and then it's like some guy with like a cattle prod basically is just like pushing a mannequin like in the taint from behind, and it just like it clearly is like a really light mannequin, right? Okay, this bothers me actually. That it literally looks like a really light mannequin, right? Like you could just knock it over it, breeze. You could blow that bitch over, right? And he just all the force that motherfucker got just
Right in the
right in the taint, and he like just barely knocks it over, and he just so like I don't know why, but I
take
think
that
that's
more into
so
the
fucking
effect
funny.
of the shock on the mannequin probably hits before the baton does.
But it's just how it like connects like
Yeah, no, I'm
visually.
not
Just
disagreeing. It looks
like the
funny.
guy's just like, oh, plus
about-
ultra, and just like you're like, damn, dude, I'm sorry.
I react to that the same way I react to the first one, where it's not the
Shit.
first one, but like another one where Gooseberry takes the Dr. Daddy puppet and just shoves it right in the vagina of one of the nun
Yeah.
figures, and I just go,
Delivery.
oh no.
Dismay in the
whenever I see
vajayjay. Every time I see it, I just think of Tosh point out. Just dismay in the vajayjay. Fucking so okay, so for reference, this Miss Gooseberry is like a think of a grandma with mixed
Yeah,
with
like Mrs. Doubtfire had a baby with
yeah.
Leatherface.
No, Mrs. Doubtfire did the fusion dance with Leatherface.
Yeah.
And then she evolved and then got acquired like a puppet drill arm, but it's like a
Uh-huh.
cute goose.
I wouldn't
But
call it
I've been
cute.
calling, I've been, her name is Phyllis.
You mean Frowns found out that her name was
Yeah,
Phyllis?
that's what I said. Yeah. I love that though.
I didn't. I thought
But
he was joking. I thought he was
no, it
comparing her to
literally
the
says
chick
that.
from
No,
The
like she
Office.
says, no, like she says that her name is Phyllis, and I think that's fucking fantastic.
Oh, that's fun.
But I've been calling her Jeff Dunham. Like if Jeff Dunham like really went off the edge.
I did hear you tell that one joke,
Yeah.
and I did agree with you. I said
I
that
couldn't,
works.
I couldn't help myself.
That works. No, that's fine. We got to get some footage up at some point of us playing that because it is. I think it's like Faz in the sense where we don't have to give you any context. You could just watch us play that, and you'd
Yeah,
probably have a good time just watching us. If you ever do any more Outlast episodes for
especially at
your
high
channel,
difficulties.
if you ever do
Oh,
any
I'm
Outlast
definitely going
episodes
to.
for your channel, you call me up because I want a piece of that shit.
What do you mean? I haven't clipped you playing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, I loved finding out that I was in your Phasmophobia marathon footage because I heard, I put it on the one day and then I heard myself in the background and I was like, he
Like, wait,
does
what?
care. He clipped our footage together.
I mean, we have not to entail of some potential gameplay, but we played some pretty ridiculous stuff. And every time we both keep reviewing the edited footage, we're just like, what the fuck? We were playing some indie ass games. Like,
Oh yeah.
what are we fucking doing? This is all
Some
jank.
.io
We broke the
handmade
game.
free games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
That shit was fun though.
it was
The sound
fun. I don't
breaking
know
my
what I can do
eardrums.
with it, but at one point it'll be up on the channel as a I don't know, enjoy question
Oh, I
mark.
definitely will. I will definitely make a video.
It'll
from
be
that
a
at some
5-minute video, but it'll be fun.
Yeah, it wasn't like 5 hours of footage. I was talking about.
Maybe a half hour would be salvageable of the entire evening. Maybe,
2 to
but
3
it's
minutes
split between 6 or 7 games. Oh shit. Anyway, yeah, we got to get some footage up at some point, but we've just to say that Glitch and I have been playing stuff during the podcast's break or even concurrently to the podcast is a what am I trying to say? It's
He's trying to say he's a gamer now.
emphasis on gay. I think no. What I was
Terrible.
trying to say was like it was like how do they say it? There's an expression. I'm just blanking because I'm stoned. Let's just say pretty much concurrently to all of my recent recordings, Glitch and I have been playing stuff together, and I've recorded some of it. I've I haven't recorded any of us playing Outlast together because I've always been kind of a pussy when we're playing that. But I'm getting better at it. I'm getting those
I think it's
A's,
funny
Glitch.
because when we first started, the intro was very much like Outlast, like classic Outlast. Like you're playing it solo. It's going to be a little bit difficult, but it's just him playing it in the background while we're fucking doing like some like end game like hard trial, and he's just fucking.
I just
Thank
want to be
you.
like, no,
Just thank you for that.
leave me alone.
That's just put that in my bucket. That's
fine.
Yeah. I could not stop fucking giggling, honestly. That was fucking hilarious.
I tell people all the time on this show, like when these types of games come up, I couldn't play Outlast. I couldn't play Alien Isolation. Even the first time I couldn't play Dead Space or Resident Evil 4, like they just at the time and at the age I was, each of those games hit me at like the worst possible moment. Like
Well,
I remember being
yeah.
12 playing Resident Evil 4. I remember being 16 playing Dead Space. I remember being 20 something when Alien Isolation came out. I remember in between that I remember being like 18 or something when Outlast came out, and it's just like when each of those hit, I just wasn't prepared.
Mm. See,
Mentally, figuratively,
I was
literally.
full blown in that shit. I was like, Outlast
Nah.
1, destroy. Whistleblower,
Yeah.
oh,
Took
annihilate.
me
And I was like,
years. Took me
Outlast 2 came
years
out,
to
and I was
get
like,
to where I am,
whoa.
man. Took me years to get to be able to pay for an Outlast game and actually play it, because
Well,
this wouldn't have been my thing if we went even as far back as like 5 years ago. Like I'm just talking about playing completely different shit at that time.
well, and I've definitely said this as well, but just adding the multiplayer aspect, like I have at one point with a homie played over like voice chat. Like both of us played Outlast 2 because he asked me to. Because he
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to play it alone, and I totally feel that because that totally takes like so much of like so much out of the game.
That
But
game is
that's also why
anxiety
people hate it,
driven.
because I know so many people that hate the Outlast series because they're like, no, fuck that, it's too scary. I'm not even trying to fuck with that.
Well,
And I'm like, I
that's what
totally
I'm trying to
understand.
say, even
Like,
about something as simple as like Alien Isolation. Like, if you
mhm.
know the product and you see how well it's done and how uh, entertaining that facade is, the ability that they had to directly communicate some of the scenes and technology and atmosphere and context of how that first movie is handled and put you in the pilot seat of a video game where you have to deal with a threat on that scale, like nah, like that's a literal fucking nightmare I had when I was a
Yeah.
kid. I don't want to be flung into that fucking
Actually
controller
relive that.
seat. Like I haven't been able to play that game for more than a half hour. I really haven't, because I feel like I'm being hunted and I just don't appreciate it. I
See,
don't
I like
appreciate it.
I'm such a forward like gamer too. Like Outlast Trials definitely like scared me when I first started playing, but it's like once you know like the area and the map, it's like once you're playing some of these very specifically Alien Isolation has like it's very much uh don't get found, run, hide, you know.
Yeah.
But it's with the skin of the scenario or story type that can do really well. But it's really I've found Alien Isolation really annoying the first time that I played it because I was like testing Game Pass games and I was just blasting
Yeah.
through every fucking game on Game Pass.
Well,
And I was like, no, it's
that's also
fun, but
the
like,
problem, is how real they attempt at that situation. So like
yeah.
the AI was built to literally hunt you down. Like
Yeah, well, I was about to
it'll
say
just stalk
I've
your
just got
locker that you're
yeah.
hiding in for
I was
15
just getting
fucking
annoyed
minutes.
that I was getting fucking just railed so fucking hard by the alien, and I was just like, okay, I'm out. I'm done. It
It
was
was a
fun, but I'm
relentless
out. Like,
experience
but
for
it's
me.
immersive, yeah. But it's
I
immersive, you know.
I got through maybe the first hour of Outlast 1 with frowns
Yeah.
when it came out. And I want to say I got through the first basement sequence, and then
Oh, dude, honestly, that's the
I
worst
was
though.
like, I'm done.
When I first played that, actually, I stopped playing at least twice when I got there because I just hated the fucking water and I hated the basement. That was like two of I just things I didn't like.
I remember getting the basement
And
sequence done, and my hands were just shaking, and
you're
I
like
just
sweaty
turned.
palms like a motherfucker. Like,
I turned to frowns, and I was just like, I can't keep doing this. And he just
that's funny.
he just laughed, and it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I would have
I
too,
never played
and I
these
have.
types of games. Even as a kid, I didn't play anything really like that. It was straight FPS.
See, I
I
did
was an
nothing but
FPS
like
kid.
even like I guess Fatal Frames. I feel like aren't really scary now, but like the
Never
early
played them.
Silent Hills before
Never
like
played them.
Silent Hill 6
I had
gets
always watched
fucking
someone
stupid.
play each of those games.
I
My
see
buddy
the
Django,
feeling
I
of being
watched him play
immersed of
almost
like.
all of the Silent Hills, and then my buddy Terry, I watched him play at least two of the Fatal Frames.
See, I've been more scared. I think it was called Siren. the first time I had a demo disc of Siren and like Fatal Frame, I want to say 1 or 2 at the time, but like I played the fuck out of those games, and like that's some of the earliest shit that I was like, I'm scared of the dark because of this game that I'm playing, and I probably shouldn't be playing. But like, because like some horror shit, like my mom took me to see Chucky when I was a fucking like little kid, like 3, 4 years old. Like
That's fun.
I don't know, I just thought like those. That's kind of why I think those slasher movies are like kind of like a little bit of a like comedic, satirical thing
Oh, sure.
sometimes, you know.
All of them have
But
an
it's like,
element of
dude,
humor. Yeah.
like even like I was saying earlier, the difference between like I just like that fucking like that fucking gritty fucking scare, like that fear factor, you know.
Yeah, that's
But
fine.
at the same time, I totally understand why you
I
wouldn't like
don't.
that. Yeah.
It's funny that I appreciate something as uh in your face and scary as like a haunted house that I actually have to walk through. But
Yeah.
I
When
love
it comes to
horror
a
nights
video
because
game, it's completely different.
I look at the art and film and media aspect of it. Like I go through them like I would go through an art exhibit. Like that's why I love going to like haunted houses and stuff. I'm testing them at their ability to actually scare me.
Hmm.
And I know that they're not going to put me in a situation like Outlast or Alien Isolation. So the bar
See,
is always, you know.
but like I can't even do that shit. We went to haunted houses out in Denver, and like 13th floor is supposed to be like one of the fucking scariest. Like
Oh
it's,
yeah.
I don't know. I just
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
fucking stop laughing. Like I don't know. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I
Maybe
go
that's
through
just
with a
like the
smile on my face pointing at shit. Like
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm
Like,
like
oh, look at that hit. It's like, oh, that's a gun. It's like,
I'm the
no, that's
fucking worst because I will just be
uh,
laughing and smiling and pointing at things going, "Dude,
like that's
dude."
corny, but
Like
I love
everything that
it.
pops out I just go, "Dude." Like almost like I want to give him a high five. Like, you know, it's there are only so many situations where someone's gotten me so good that I've been like upset.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, you know,
God.
horror does that weird thing to you where it kind of pushes your boundaries the more you kind of deal with it and the more you kind of let it go through you, quote, you know, as
Mhm.
a way when it comes to you know, film and media and video games. um you know, I I'm not the gamer I was when I was 12, obviously. Like I
What do you mean? You
the
don't have that reaction time, bro?
it's not the reaction time that I was worried about, man. It was the fact that at 12, from the minute that bag-headed fuck with the chainsaw in Resident Evil 4 cuts down that first door and starts coming up the stairs,
Okay.
I pressed pause, put the controller down and walked out of the room.
That's
Even as a
actually
12-year
fucking
old,
really
I said,
funny.
I am do not want to be in this situation. I choose to leave.
I mean, honestly, something
I
that
didn't
Hannah
even want to
does.
watch it glitch. I didn't even want to watch someone else do it. I said, this is enough for me. Goodbye. And I
See,
left the
you're
fucking
ridiculous. I
room.
think that's funny as fuck.
When Frowns made me play Dead Space 1 for the first time, and they just say,
I
run,
was just about
Isaac,
to say,
run. Run,
is
Isaac,
that the
run. The
reason that
minute I
you?
got to the elevator, and then it still busts through the elevator and gets you, I threw the controller across the room, and Frowns was almost like upset that I would have broken it, like from hitting a wall or something. Because
I
I was that upset
fucking
that he
love
made
that.
me play that.
Oh my god, I fucking love that.
It took a lot of time for me to
That's
replay
actually
Dead
really
Space.
funny.
It took even longer for me to replay Resident Evil.
I mean, like,
And
okay, when I first played Resident Evil, even like, I would say I was playing Fatal Frame and like Silent Hill and shit, and that's kind of like Runaway, but I like didn't. I don't know. I didn't. I kept like just trying to knife shit like when I was like a little kid, the first time playing, but it was like the camera angles and like the actual like movement really fucked with me. It took me like a while to actually get through the game, and then I was obsessed, and then I, like I think I played like Code Veronica like 8 times, like, but
well, that's the thing. I didn't even know. I didn't even know of the other Resident Evil games as a kid. Like as a 12-year-old, I played sci-fi shooters, FPS,
Oh,
and Nintendo products. I was a
did you
Nintendo kid.
did you ever play the first Prey?
Yes, actually, on Xbox.
Oh, I actually just rebought that a while ago because
Where
I
you're
played the newer
you're the
one.
Native American dude fighting
Yeah,
your
the
way through the
Cherokee.
alien ship. Yeah.
Yeah, because it has a lot of like how do I say, like layers of fear stuff, like sci-fi shit. Like, oh, I knocked down a box, a chicken came through, but I can go in the box into another room. Awesome! Like,
For me, that
love that
at the
shit
time that was
with
very
gore.
System Shock
Yeah,
ish.
yeah. I've actually, I've had like 5 people bring this up in the past like week. What the fuck?
System
I
Shock.
actually don't know this. Yeah, I don't actually know what System Shock is. Well, I know because people have been talking about it lately.
Think early stage 2K. It's the guy who wrote BioShock wrote that.
Oh, the picture on the front looks like a goofy boy. Okay, 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 okay.
A
We're going away
goofy
from that.
boy.
He just looks like a troll motherfucker. He's- okay, I'm done here.
Oh, I'm collecting our stories. The
Okay, I was gonna
stories
say
that
I haven't
we
even gotten a file. I don't even know what's going on over here. Apparently, we're doing a fucking roulette shotgun wedding of fucking horror.
Oh yeah.
Horror.
Oh yeah. We're doing rando stories from the internet. As we've been known to do. None of us we just picked numbers and let the good times roll. I brought up my no sleep list and our page count. I just wanted to see how many, we'd be able to read this episode. So we picked 4 short stories from Reddit No Sleep to just kind of dip our toe for a little bit. Um,
Yeah, I don't even know.
to see how No Sleep is doing. Because each of these have really weird titles,
I
and
haven't even heard. I'm very curious.
and it's gonna be interesting for sure. Um,
Or should I be scared? Because I feel like
uh,
every time it's been like, oh, let's just go full send random. I'm like, fuck it, and then I'm like, oh god, this is fucking crazy.
I'm not gonna say that the titles are real real terrifying.
Okay,
But
you said interesting.
they're definitely interesting. They're weird. We're gonna let you go first because, of course, you did pick
Oh,
first, and
oh,
yours
okay.
have some interesting titles. But
Oh,
this one is kind of a conversation. So maybe you and I could share this first story
okay,
because it's 2 people kind of going back and forth.
okay.
Um,
And we could also play it by ear too. Maybe we could just do 3 depending on our time. We'll see.
with the hour of
We'll see.
conversation we
We'll see.
already talked, we're gonna
I don't
limit
know
it
what you're
to what we're
talking about.
doing.
We didn't talk about
Here's the
anything.
first one you got.
Oh, oh,
Interesting title, huh?
oh, I like it.
It's interesting. It's called Faces in the Flowers. If I saw little faces in little flowers, I would literally freak the fuck out.
No, I love that.
I don't.
Honestly, I do like the concept of like faces or like body parts and flowers. I do.
Mm.
I feel like I
Well,
constantly
biology is
forget
fucking weird, yeah.
all of the references ever that I've seen that in, but anime, just anime.
Yeah,
Um,
anyway. No, but
but I
I'm
definitely
even
have
thinking of
a
the movie like Annihilation, like how the flora
yeah.
life took on the shape of
Thank
human
you.
bodies. Just
Yeah, I
because
was trying to think of like what fucking shit I've seen that in.
they explain the way the DNA can existed in that ecosystem, that human DNA was being combined with the flower and fauna in the area, so like the flowers took on human shape, I love that explanation. It's
Yeah.
so fun. But yeah, there's something terrifying about it at the very same time. It's very unsettling, which is why
Yeah.
the scene itself is unsettling in the movie. I can't shout out Annihilation enough. That's a wonderful film. Um,
I I was gonna say I actually have one of my short stories that I'm debating on putting into an actual graphic novel form, but one of my shorts that I have is uh end of story, like grandpa's in the garden, and then like grandma's like always constantly managing the flowers in the garden, and just like, little grandpa body parts coming through the roses and shit.
that's cool.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, do you want to read it and then I could be like the person you're talking to?
Yeah. Faces in the flowers. Do you
Faces
see it?
in the
I
flower.
asked.
One more time.
Do you see it?
No.
Oh, am I actually reading? Okay.
Yeah.
Anna asked, squinting. It's right there, though. It's small, but it's there, in the center. Anna stood up.
I don't see an eye in the flower, Dad. Can I go?
Oh, this is worse. I waved her away and bent
Bend
closer
over.
to the dandelion. The way the white needles came together, yes, there was the silhouette of a human eye. You could see it when the flower caught the sun just right. Huh? Wait, I said, plucking the dandelion and blowing the petals into the breeze. The first neon scars of spring completely covered the yard. A kaleidoscope of wildflowers stretched from our driveway to the old rotting barn near the tree line. Cornflowers and yarrow and daisies and poppies. And
daisies
and
and yarrow
bursting
and
and things
cornflower
and stuffs
poppies.
and that other thing bursting from the ground in bright outposts. Honeysuckle grew in the shadows of the barn, filling the property with a smell like sugar and dirt and vanilla and
Mom says
buttholes.
Mom says dinner is ready if you want something.
Where the fuck did that voice come from?
Mom,
It's like a little child ooh woo. George. The George you called from the porch? What'd she make? I asked. George was already back inside. Am I a
you.
chick? Okay. No. Okay.
No, you're dad.
Oh, I'm the dad. I'm terrible
You're
here.
dad.
Yeah. I'm deep voice. I took a last look at the yard and trees before heading for the house.
Did you sign yet?
Virginia asked me after the kids had gone to bed, and we sat silently in the living room. The TV buzzed as usual. Well, no, not yet.
Why not?
Well, I didn't. I guess I didn't see no rush. Virginia sighed.
Nothing is changing, Lloyd.
Sure, I know. I'll have it signed this weekend.
Tomorrow.
Virginia went to bed. I went for a night walk.
Night walk.
Sad synth music plays.
Oh, hell yeah.
There are paths in the woods that are hard to find in daylight and next to impossible with a flashlight. Memory, though, could show you. I walked through the trees listening to the night sounds, the frogs and crickets in rival orchestras, and owls and birds and thrushes and owls and thrushes fluttering, the whisper of bats on the glide. Maybe let her stay a while, I asked the forest. The wind blew warm from the valley. I smelled honeysuckle and made my way home from memory again with a hand from moonlight.
I see a face, Daddy.
Anna told me. That's creepy as fuck. A full face? Where? Show me.
Here, by the barn. Come look.
I fucking hate it. Burn the barn to the ground. She was right. There was a blanket of chicory and paintbrush growing. What?
Yeah, I
A blanket
assume
of
they're
chicory and
flower types.
paintbrush. And just paintbrushes growing out of the fucking ground. And I could see a face in the patch. Despite the heat of the sun, I felt a chill. The face was not kind. She had wide violet eyes and cheeks like a ravine. Her mouth was a patch of bare black dirt. Don't play around the barn anymore, I told Hannah. Anna. Or is that you?
What?
Promise.
That's you.
Promise. But she ignored me, bending down to pluck a flower from the face. Anna.
Oh, okay, it's you.
Now that's fine. Get out of here.
Anna.
Get out of here. Anna. Anna. I don't want to say that too loud, for the Hannah's going to run out of the corner and be like, what do you need? What's up? She ate the flower, chewing the bright orange petals. Then Anna went skipping away, dancing to some music in her head. I smiled for the last time.
That's actually kind of fucked up. He's like, don't be around this plant anymore, okay? Just don't. And she's just like, and then eats it.
Like, bitch,
I'd be like, this is the start of something awful.
my daughters are cannibal.
What do you mean she's fine?
Virginia asked.
Look at her.
I meant physically.
No, it's a different
Dr. Lee-
character. You're
oh.
fine.
I meant physically, Dr. Levine said. I can't find any medical cause of her. The erratic movements. Dancing? I said. She's dancing,
Damnedest dance I've ever seen.
Virginia said.
Night and day she won't sleep or eat, and she messes herself. 2 days, doctor. She can't keep on.
Dr. Levine packed away his bag. She'll stop when she's tired enough. Wow, that's a fucked. It's for attention, acting out. Kids will do that. Problems at home? I'll walk you out. Because
Fuck
you're a
off,
dick.
Doc.
I said.
Yeah. Who gave you your doctorate?
I actually gave it to myself. I am Dr. Sirman. Virginia and I. I am Candy Doctor. Virginia and I sat on the porch watching Anna and George twisting in the yard. That's not twisting. That's like
They're doing the
she's
twist. That's what he meant
stroking
to
out. The sun was falling, and their shadows jutted and snapped as they danced through the wildflowers. And it was slower, weaker. It was all we could do to hold her down long enough to force a handful of water and some honey into her mouth. Now that George had started dancing as well, Virginia and I were finally talking regular again. We might tie them down to their beds for a day or three. I suggested. Doc says it's some antics.
Psychosomatic.
Yeah, psychomantis.
Psychomantis.
Psychomantis. Virginia corrected. I rocked my chair. Exactly that. Could be all we need to do is keep them still a spell and it'll cure up. Keep them still a spell. Okay. Virginia, alarmed, stared out at the children. Anna was losing weight, her white dress loose on scarecrow arms. George was sweating terribly, rolling in the flowers, staining his shirt the same color as the sunset.
I'm scared.
Virginia told me, touching my arm for the first time in a year.
They're not
Damn.
well.
Wow, yeah, your fucking relationship's not well. Jesus Christ. I patted her hand. I'm scared too.
What'll become of us, Lloyd?
It'll be fine. I lied. No trouble at all. I kept lying. I woke up to the sound of a bird thumping into the window. When I pulled the blind, I saw it was not a bird, but my wife. She was dancing with the children in the yard, eyes closed, arms whipping up and down. Occasionally her hands slapped the window. Her face has turned towards the sky, scorched with ecstasy. Once more her palm found the glass, this time so hard the window shattered. Blood spurted in and across the floor, The droplets reminded me of the wildflowers. Virginia smeared a crimson streak down what remained of the glass, and then she danced away. Outside, the day was furnace hot. Anna lay in the grass, unable to stand, but still twitching. George loomed over her, stomping and shaking and grinning and jumping, all three of them fighting me as I dragged them inside. I wept as I tied them into their beds with thick rope. I fed them as best I could. Gave them milk and bread dissolved in cold water. Anna couldn't take in any, spat it up. Yeah, that's what it says. No. I prayed by her bed. Please, give her back. I fell asleep. There on the floor next to my daughter, I awoke to moonlight brushing my cheek and the sound of wind chimes. Anna still lay tied to her bed, shaking, trying to move. The chimes were soft and old. I followed the sound outside into the night. Oh, I whispered when I caught sight of the thing sitting on the barn. Jesus in heaven, watch over me!
Not here.
The creature called.
Come closer.
The figure was twice as tall as the... Oh, okay, Jesus fucking Christ. Twice as tall as the barn. This is not just a fucking guy. It sat on the roof, one leg dangling. As it approached, the moon seemed brighter, and I saw the abomination clear. She was beautiful and slender with skin... Oh, damn. Beast? Fucking... Okay. Skin like sycamore
Tree
bark.
mommy.
Yeah. No, tree father. Her face contained the impression of wild animals and skull poked through here and her skull poked through here and there. Over one ear twisted a great whorl of black antler, festooned with vines and flowers. Over the other ear, a ram's horn, white but spotted with the dark red of old blood. Green eyes, the size of dinner plates, flickered like the first stars to ever stain the sky. When she exhaled, the wind breathed with her, ripped at me with the smell of honeysuckle and spoiled meat. Flowers spilled from her body and covered the barn. A vivid curtain filled with an entire garden. I dropped to my knees, overwhelmed. I was a rabbit trapped by a dog, or a lawnmower. These are very two different things.
Analogies.
Yeah. My heart bashed so hard against my chest, I wondered when my sternum might crack.
Why don't you dance?
She asked me, and in her voice rang the chimes and bells, whistling flutes and the call of pipes. What? I choked out.
You don't recognize me. You don't know the king of the vine?
I shook my head. The night became much colder. The creature leaned down and the barn creaked.
You refuse to dance and you claim you don't know me even though you called to me in the forest.
I never called. Never!
Your heart did. You wanted my help. You wanted to keep your family here with you, for them to be happy.
He was just bad at dancing. He just needed some help.
Teach him the cha-cha slide.
Yeah. Just the flail. Just the mosh
Lloyd
pit
gets
is
his
really what
groove
it is.
back.
I tried to stand up, found that my legs would not respond. You're killing them! The king shrugged.
I die each year, every year, for as long as days have been counted. What is one death to worry over?
No. Please don't. Please let them be. Let them stop. Let them stab. The giant regarded me for a moment from her improvised throne. When she moved, the flowers in the yard moved with her, stretching, caught in her orbit.
How cruel you are.
she said finally.
You ask for my help, but reject my gift. You see me as so few do, but do not recognize me.
I'm sorry, I'll do anything.
My gift was given freely, but my help has a price.
Anything!
Your eyes.
I cried for the last time. Okay!
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Just plucks them both out. My world went black.
That will do for your children. For the woman, something small. Something you barely care for, as she barely cares for you.
Anything! I said into the darkness.
Your name.
Take the damn thing! She did. I felt it leave me like a bird dropping from a nest.
You'll need to steal a new name then.
The King of the Vine whispered.
Or beg for one. Or borrow.
A great pressure lifted, and I knew she was gone. It took me some time to find my way back to the house, relying on memory. Several times I stumbled through the thick flowers. And it was not in her bed. Only coils of empty rope. George was missing, as was Virginia. I found them eventually in the yard. I knew them by the feel of their faces, familiar lines. I screamed when I stumped upon them. They were still, at least, rooted to the ground and so thin. From a distance, I'm sure they'd look like any other sunflowers. It's taken me years to learn how to navigate the world without sight and without my family. There are lovely devices that read to you, write for you, keep you connected when you're alone. I find myself online more and more as I drift through the rest of this life. A message came in the other day, an offer for new eyes. I don't know how they found me, and I don't much trust free things anymore, but I can't help myself. Curiosity. A chance to see the faces of my own family again, however they might look. The email had my old name, but I don't use that anymore. I wouldn't steal one either. I'm too proud to beg. Do you need to put a name to me in your head? All right, you might call me Borrow. What? Because he borrowed?
Interesting. Seems like it might be a part of a series or something.
Okay, I was like, damn, what's that mean?
But also, it stands alone as its own product.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, he just wants to see his family in the flowers. He wants to see a weird
I
nose poking out a flower.
The forest spirit entity.
I did not expect that. That was a little creature feature. I was not thinking of her as a thick-bootied tree lady. I don't know what you're talking about. That never happened. I don't know who you're talking about. Glitch? Who's that? What? What? My little brother. My little brother's actually talking right now.
The family became the flowers at the end. I like that the almost.
Yeah, I was curious how I was going to round back
of finding the first face and then it eventually being kind of a sealed fate. Interesting.
That was fun.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's the best thing we've ever read, but I'm not going to say it's the worst thing we've ever read.
Yeah. Yeah, we've definitely read worse.
Okay.
That was fun though. That was a good happy medium though.
I'm going to read my first one if you'd like to follow along.
Oh.
I thought this title was apropos.
Also, I think it's funny because I was like listening to some of my previous episodes and I was like, oh yeah, these all sound good. And like specifically the last episode, I think I was just like,
yeah,
it was like real fucked up or something. I was just like, and than the thing. I just felt like today, Junior. Like, oh my god.
Nah, don't be hard
Look
on
at who I
yourself.
am. Look at
for
who
when
I
it
am.
comes
Look
to
at who I
reading.
am.
The reading comes with time, and no one,
Oh,
really
I
cares.
was like, I had a cider and then I had 2 ciders. And you can tell when I had 3 ciders. And that's when I started reading at a second grade level.
Very good, very good. I'm going to read a short story now, and you could do all the voices for when I'm talking to someone. Because I see there's a lot of dialogue in this one as well.
I just see like a coupon ad.
Yeah, we'll get there. This one has a fun title, which I felt like was cool compared to the other ones that we selected for today. This one reads, "My town stays inside when the wind blows from the west," which reminds me of 2 stories we've read recently, which was one on your episode the last time with, I think, the radio or the phone talking to the person who was stuck in the cabin. And then there was an episode I called Dad's Spaghetti with as an alien episode with my buddy Gnarly Charlie. And that episode is about aliens like taking the skin of people and like pretending to be someone you loved. And he always talks about like when he goes into like alien transmission form, he's like, I always like it when the wind blows from the north, and he like talks about turning the kids into like wind chimes essentially, so the wind
Okay,
can
that's
blow
fun.
through their skin,
Yeah,
something
yeah, their
along those
souls.
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool. So that makes me I'm reminded of
I
that
want
when I
it.
read this title. So my town stays inside when the wind blows from the west. Every house in my town has a weather vane. All of the stores and buildings, and the library too. We learned to watch the vanes carefully when we were out. If the arrows called for a west wind, you went inside. It didn't matter if you were at home or at the park or walking down Main Street. If a west wind blew, you went inside as fast as you could. I was working a shift after school at Burger, Hungry Burger, when
Fantastic.
when an early dinner rush started. It quickly turned
What-
into a full-on crowd migration. I shared a look with Tony the cook, and we only saw traffic like that when the wind was up and people were ducking inside wherever they could. Tony and I both turned to Rosanna. She was already wiping the chalkboard over the counter clean, and in big, clean letters she wrote, "West Wind Happy Hour, everything 50% off." And the orders came rolling in, so I stopped wiping down tables and went to help Rosanna with customers. Everybody was chatty, energized. It had been more than 3 months since the last real west wind. We'd seen little breezes that sent people scurrying for a few minutes, but nothing like the gale that was building up outside. A copse of pines that lined one side of the building lot were all bending in supplication to the wind, branches bowing and trembling. The sky was beginning to darken, cloud cover rolling in like a gray tarp. Swings were even whipping back and forth at the park across the street.
Looks like a big one today.
Tony said, laying around another line of burgers on the grill. I could
At
hear
Burger
the
Burger.
meat sizzle at Burger.
My name
the
is actually
rumble.
Cook the Cook.
My name is Mario.
Yeah. Tony the Tony.
The rumble of conversation. There were at least 24 people packed into the small restaurant. The booths and tables were filled, and several customers were just standing in front of the big bay windows, sipping milkshakes and watching the storm. Rosanna scooted past me to get change from the register. Our arms touched, and I felt a little electric rush connect my throat and my stomach. Rosanna, with her black hair and blue eyes. Rosanna, with that smirk that could destroy a rude customer in an instant.
Are you okay, hun?
She asked.
You're staring.
Just, had a mental checkout for a second. Sorry. Rosanna rolled her eyes.
Get in gear, cowboy. That's the lyric. I didn't even make that
Yep,
up.
I like it.
That matches. Orders are waiting. I can hear Tony cursing in the milkshake mixer. Maybe you should.
She stopped talking. The whole room stopped. 24 voices all collectively muted at once. We all saw the same thing. There was a car on the road driving slowly past the diner.
Christ.
They were outside, and the west wind was
I'm
only
stupid.
getting nastier.
Christ.
Tony whispered.
I don't think they know.
The car, a sapphire
voice.
blue sedan, was moving at a crawl. I saw 2 people inside, the one behind the wheel gesturing toward the park. They had out-of-state license plates. Tourists, probably just passing through town. They wouldn't know. Of course they wouldn't know. Our town's little quirk wasn't a secret exactly, but we were isolated, didn't see too many visitors, and the winds were rare enough that usually everyone was inside and safe by the time it really got blowing. Usually. Being out in a car while the west wind was roaring wasn't a death sentence. My dad had a long talk with me when I'd gotten my license. If the wind is just starting, pull over and go inside anywhere you can, he told me. The 2 of us sitting in my brand new 15-year-old Chevy pickup. If the wind is coming in hard and you're not in town, drive east. You'll be fine if you can make it 5 or so miles in that direction. You'll notice the wind doesn't blow the same once you're that far out of town. Go past the Wainwright farm and a good way and you're safe. Now, if you ever get caught out driving for whatever reason, when it's getting ugly and the sky is black and you start seeing shadows out when there shouldn't be, you park the car. You roll up the windows, you lock the doors, and you hunker down. Keep the car running, play the radio as loud as you can, and try not to even look outside. Then you wait until the wind dies down. But this blue Ford inching down the street didn't look like it was going to park at the diner. And it wasn't driving away from the wind. It was heading west toward the valley, toward the source of the storm. The clouds above Burger looked like a wool blanket that had been ripped to pieces and stuck back together. We could hear the wind now whistling past the windows, plucking leaves from the trees.
Turn around.
I heard Rosanna whisper.
Get the fuck out of town.
I thought you were going to hit me with a turn around. The Ford continues.
Now it's stuck in my head.
The Ford continued its slow motion roll. Lights began to flicker inside of the restaurant. Then they went out. That usually happened when the wind was up, but rarely this soon.
This is gonna be a bad one,
Tony said. The crowd of customers were restless. Nearly everyone standing at the window was watching the car. I was trying to mentally tell them to turn around, to hit the gas, to head east like the devil was licking their heels. Or if they at least parked and hunkered down, that they might be able to wait out the wind.
Hunker down! Okay, sorry.
The Ford slowed to a stop next to the park, and for a brief moment I wondered if telepathy was real.
Telepathy is real! Okay.
And then the driver's door opened. Someone in the diner gasped, and a few started to murmur.
Close the door! Close the door! Close the fucking door!
Tony whispered, coming out of the kitchen to stand with Rosanna and me behind the counter.
Can we signal them?
Rosanna asked.
Someone can open the door and...
Fuck that! One of the customers shouted. I recognized him as John Stamos or other,
What a
or
dick.
whoever
Yeah.
delivered
What
our
an
mail.
asshole.
The Ford's driver got out, one arm raised to shield his face from the wind. He was short, gray-haired, and the woman who stepped out of the passenger side of the car was much the same. They stood together looking out into the park. The sky was a dark bruise of clouds, and the wind was somewhere between howl and roar. There was no rain. Still, shitty conditions for a day at the park. I turned to Rosanna. What do you think they're doing? Why did they get out of the car? She bit her lip.
They seem like they're looking for something. Maybe drugs.
The couple began to walk away from the car towards the park. Rosanna was practically vibrating next to me, knuckles white, as she clutched the countertop. She glanced up at me with those blue eyes again, and I knew whatever she asked, I'd agree.
We have to help them,
she said.
There's still time.
A gust of wind made the building creak. I wasn't so sure.
Please?
Rosanna asked.
We can't just watch.
She didn't wait for my answer. Rosanna cut through the crowd. They were all watching her. By the time she reached the door, there was a wide, empty space around her. Empty, except for me. I was a little surprised at how quickly I followed her. Rosanna's hand was shaking, and it took her a moment to touch the push bar.
You got my back, honey bunches.
She whispered without looking. Always, I said, barely fighting off the urge to wet my pants and run. Rosanna took a breath and opened the door. The sound of the wind instantly formed a whistle to a shriek. I hardly noticed due to the smell, though. It was vicious, a wet animal odor that made my eyes water and throat tighten. Someone behind me threw up. The scent was part fungal rot, part waste, thick and invasive. I'd smelled it before when I'd gotten caught out in an early west wind, but the odor was never as strong as it was then. Bent over, almost in half gagging, I reached out to close the door, and I stopped. Rosanna was already 2 steps outside. She'd pulled her apron up to cover her nose and mouth. The wind whipped the bottom of it, her hair, and tried to knock her over as she crossed the parking lot, but Rosanna kept moving. Oh, shit. Okay, I said, following her out into the storm. The wind was so much colder than I expected. Goddamn near Arctic. It bit and tore away any body heat, and by the time I caught up to Rosanna, I was shivering and numb. The old couple was still standing next to their car, looking outwards toward the park. Nearby trees were bending so far in the gale I thought some might snap. Leaves blew away in green bursts.
That was my distant hey.
Oh, I totally didn't hear it.
Okay, I was hey, but I was weird.
You literally just did some throat.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if you just thought I was just dying in the background.
Totally didn't.
I like,
didn't even.
I was like,
hear
I need to. Hello, hey.
Hey. Rosanna shouted towards the strangers.
It's not safe out there. You need to come with us.
We were halfway across the parking lot, maybe 100 feet from the couple, and they didn't hear her. Or they ignored her. A vein of purple lightning shot through the cloud cover, and there was a croak of thunder, but it sounded warped, like someone had recorded it and played it in reverse. Still, no rain. Rosanna and I kept moving forward, hunched over and taking slow steps. Both of us were breathing hard by the time we crossed the parking lot. The wind had a way of ripping the air right out of your lungs. The rancid odor made it impossible for me to inhale through my nose, making everything even more miserable. Another bolt of violet lightning lit up the parking lot. Rosanna and I both stopped. Shadows cast by the flash lingered on the ground long after the light had faded. They looked like they were cast from about a dozen people gathered in a circle around us. "Rosie," I whispered.
Is that you? I see him.
The shadows were still. Rosanna and I shared a glance. I don't think either of us was eager to try and walk around them. Lightning went off again and the shadows evaporated for a moment, then returned much closer. Instead of a dozen shapes, now there were too many to count.
Fuck this,
Rosanna said, and she ran. I followed. We went over the shadows at the same time. It was like running through a mix of sand and oil. The cold from the window was drowned out by a terrible heat for a few seconds, so intense I gasped. Once I was past the shadows, the temperature dropped like a bird with a broken wing. I was shaking again, not just from the cold, more from this strange thunder, more lightning. The west wind was nearly knocking me off my feet. We have to go back, I yelled to Rosanna, and she shook her head, dark hair flying in the wind.
We're close. They're coming back with us.
The couple hadn't moved from their position on either side of the car. They were both staring out for something in the park, exactly as they had been for several minutes now. In fact, neither seemed to have shifted at all. Same body language, same everything. Something's wrong, I said, stopping. Rosanna was pressing forward.
What? We need to...
The rest of my words were lost in a rush of water. It was finally raining. We were out of time. Come on, I yelled, reaching out for Rosanna, and she was too far away and still moving toward the couple. I'd never been caught in rain during a west wind storm before. It's not an experience I ever want to repeat. The drops came down cold and oily, and there was a tingle, nearly a burn, when the water touched any skin, and the rotting smell got so much worse. Are we having our first Strand type story? Is that what's happening right now? Are we having a Strand adventure?
I was initially gonna say, God, what is the guy from Tom Welling? No, guy from Smallville, The Mist.
Oh yeah,
just get lost.
Well, the fog.
Yeah. Thank you.
But now with the acid rain, I'm thinking this is our Death Stranding. This is our first Strand type gameplay.
And then they just kept following the images of the people into a walking sim for years to come.
Okay. The rotting smell got so much worse. I could barely see through the downpour, and I bumped into Rosanna's back. She was shaking. Are you cold? I asked, and she shook her head. I looked past her and understood. The couple had moved, and now they were standing at the edge of the parking lot between the diner and the park facing us. Everything about their features were off. No lines on their faces at all. Smooth, artificial. Even in the rain, I could see that their eyes and noses and lips all were horribly perfect and so similar, like dolls.
Okay, so Metal Gear sound, and then it was a trick.
Wang! Rosanna whispered. Something tugged on my leg. I looked down. Nothing. Not just nothing, but an absence. An empty pocket of air in the shape of a crawling human outlined in the rain. Rosanna made a sound like a whimper. There were dozens of the invisible shapes all around us, dragging, limping, closing in slowly. Rosie, I said, reaching out for her hand. We have to go. I pulled, but she didn't move. Rosanna began making a choking sound. Rose? I stepped forward and saw it. One of the outlines had her by the throat, and it was forcing her jaw open. Another invisible thing was wrapped around her leg. I tried to kick at it and felt no resistance. My foot passed through the rain into a dry spot, then back into water. The same effect happened when I attempted to push the entity choking Rosanna back. It was like the creatures were only physically present when they wanted to be. Not having any other options, I picked Rosanna up. She was small, light, and still choking. I ran all about 8 feet before a grip clamped down on my leg, and my calf lit up with an electric agony as something bit into the meat. I screamed, and the wind stole the sound. More invisible teeth punctured my arms, my back, even an eye. Rosanna was convulsing, and it was all I could do to keep standing. Then a horrible pressure took my jaw, and I felt my mouth being forced open.
She's just like, honey, leave me. It's how I want to go.
I knew that I was going to die. I hoped it would just be death. Everything in me was ripping, breaking, screaming, and some outside force was making its way in. Thoughts that weren't my own started to drip down behind my eyes. Violent thoughts. Hungry dreams. Strong hands on me again, not hurting though, lifting. Through blurry eyes and rain, I turned and saw a man next to Rosanna and me. Tony, for the fucking win.
Fucking rock.
He said, picking up Rosie over one shoulder, using his free arm to support me. The biting got worse and the wind pushed me back, but I ran, tripping and shaking loose from invisible fingers. I moved as fast as I could. It seemed like it took a year to cross the parking lot, and then all three of us were back inside the diner. The moment the door closed behind me, all the pain and pressure was gone. The wind roared outside, but couldn't get in. Tony was pale and wheezing, but otherwise fine. He'd put Rosanna in one of the booths. She was curled up, small. I staggered over to I staggered
It was just a
over to
regular
her
Tuesday.
and touched her arm. Rosie? And she looked up at me with the brightest green eyes.
The storm should be over soon.
Rosanna said. Her voice buzzed for a moment, like a room speaking all at once. By the time Rosie said her last word, she sounded normal again. It might have just been my imagination.
It actually sounded like this the whole time. I've been smoking for 67 years. I'm only 34. I don't even know.
I'm glad the smoker voice made an appearance.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't help myself. I honestly, when they're like drudging through the storm, I just imagine, my sciatica. Like,
I just always go, chocolate. I remember when they invented chocolate.
when things were made out of metal.
Oh shit! I liked that story. That story was fun. It was very Strand type. I will admit.
Yeah, the outside. I mean, obviously zombie situation going on, but I like that it was like a, it's not like a. I generally don't really, hate me if you want. I generally don't care for zombie things because a lot of zombie things are too generic or are done really bad. But I do like a good like generic take on a zombie thing. It's just like, what's in the rain? You didn't expect this. It's fucking zombies.
Well, it wasn't zombies. It was it was shadows.
Like
it was the absence of people. They were invisible.
But these ominous thing. It's like how do I say this? Like a Will Smith vampire. Thank you. Yeah, they're like vampire zombie things. Like
yeah,
some sort of like undead horde-esque things.
Yeah, but the reason I'm actually saying Death Stranding is because they actually appear to be like shadows. They were like it was some type of some otherworldly entity. That's fine. You just need to know that it's a walking sim with shadow people and
honestly, that's all I know.
Babies.
That's why I didn't buy it. Yeah, I've literally seen a reference in another game, but I can't even remember the game that it references. But I have a baby in a thing.
Frowns fucking loved it, and he made me play maybe 6 hours of it, and I got nothing. I got nothing out of it.
See, I'm tiny rant. I feel the same way with like No Man's Sky with that kind of thing. Like when No Man's Sky first came out, I was like, it has to be good. So it has to be good at some point, right? I'll just keep flying from another planet to another planet. And I feel like it's the same thing. It's just like it'll be fine. I just gotta keep running. I just gotta keep running, right?
That was when the game was first released, right?
Yeah, but I just feel like I could play Black Desert Online if I really want to fucking just run around a map for like 40 hours.
Yeah. No, fair. All fair.
Yeah, good rain. Is that the actual same like enemies too? They're like these weird like a invisible hollow men thing.
Yeah, the only way to see them is with your your blinking light, and they're not necessarily invisible.
I kind of like that now.
They're like sludge. They're like
okay.
They're like made of like an otherworldly material.
Because I saw like early trailers, but I didn't actually see like the monster itself. The creatures themselves.
You remember that like oil that you see coming out of Mads Mikkelsen? It's kind of like the entity.
Okay, I like that then. I enjoyed it. I actually do like the sci-fi kind of feel to it.
Well, for me, that was almost like a fun kind of episode of like a Twilight Zone. We have a group of people.
Another alternate world.
very, Night of the Living Dead.
What's
as you
really
mentioned.
happening? Yeah.
And then, we have people who just want to go out into the storm and try and help people, and then it turns out some like eldritch shit is going on, some madness kind of otherworldly phenomenon, which, I could get behind it.
And if you didn't if you just every time that I go, hey, you just imagine like, hello, sir, like like a really nice female's voice, and then that would also change the story a little bit. But until then, you get a Beatrice.
It was Rosie.
Yeah, no, it's Beatrice now. That's my middle name. That's what everybody calls me.
All right, we're gonna move on to your next story, which I might be wrong in this assumption, but is that or is that not?
Excuse me. Well, yeah.
Is that a song?
I want to say that's Jimi Hendrix lines.
That is what I believe it is. So,
okay.
Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky is the title of the next story we're reading from No Sleep, and I also thought it was Jimi Hendrix lines.
I have friends that would like slap me for not knowing the song.
Well, I just knew that they were lyrics or something, which is fine.
Googling. The sound of typing.
You're trying to figure out what song it is.
Purple Haze. I was like, I think it's just Purple Haze. I'm stupid. Okay, cool.
I didn't know either. It's fine.
That's all I needed. Now to the audience that didn't know, there you go. I found that for you.
They were all screaming out in a cacophony of rage. It's
yeah.
I
felt it. I had to Google it. Yeah. For as long as I can remember, I've been afraid of heights. Even standing on a 12-foot ladder paralyzes me. It's not a fear like being afraid of spiders or dying. I don't lie awake at night worrying about the next time I'm going to be up in a high place somewhere. Going to be up high somewhere, and I don't see tall buildings and shudder. But once I'm high, man, up in the air for some reason, I entirely shut down. I have to be away from the edge with a firm grip on something very steady. It's uncontrollable and, quite frankly, embarrassing. So I decided to face my fear, and my former best friend decided to help me.
I'm pretty bad with heights too.
That's already.
I mean, even I kind of faced it a couple years ago when I jumped out of a plane, but for me, that wasn't the same.
It's like a different experience. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Being up high and being stationary is different than falling.
Well, because you also
the
like
sensation of falling. That was, it reminded me of a roller coaster. So I was like, I jumped out of a plane.
Agreed.
And like it was
because you're secured.
I was controlled.
Something is there. Yeah, exactly. Something is there in place for you to not fucking die.
And there's not something when you're just up high, like on the side of a mountain, on the top of a building. Like I don't like it. As little as 3 stories, and I'm like, no.
He is a radio antenna engineer.
Oh, those fucking guys.
Those fucking guys. Those fucking guys. The guys who have to climb those 2,000-foot needle towers to replace and fix things when they need fixing or replacing. Okay, also insert real quick.
Job, dude.
Honestly, even I like don't really have like a fear of heights really, but like I sent a video to Moshe a while ago. Some dude's like exploring, finding some really crazy like underground facility thing. Looks like some fucking backroom shit.
Yeah.
But the same guys are like in the middle of a fucking storm, like, fuck it, let's climb the radio and fucking tower.
Yeah.
What the fucking,
all those urban
explorers
always find reasons to climb the radio towers. It drives me insane.
That shit's sketchy.
The footage of them up there with their selfie sticks and shit.
Sketchy.
No way.
Okay. When he proposed the idea of me going on a job with him, I was extremely resistant, as you can imagine.
Yeah, understatement.
I was thinking of standing on the roof of my house and to face my fear. Yeah, I see like he has like a double wide and he's like standing on like the low end of the house, like, yeah, I'm good. No, look, I'm facing my fears. I don't want to go with that tower no more. Okay. I was thinking of standing on the roof of my house to face my fear, not scaling a giant sewing needle held up by a bunch of metal cables tethered to the ground. He was persuasive, however, convincing me that when you're up there, everything below is so far away that it almost feels fake. That's a fucking lie. It's like looking at a model town for a train set from far away, dude. You'll be fine, bro. Trust me, bro.
But that's the problem with seeing things
know.
in macro. Like when you see
Yeah.
photography in macro of something small,
Yeah. I was
you're
thinking
able
like
to
tilt shift lens.
differentiate. I'm not ever in a plane looking down going, look at all the small things. I'm going, wow, I am up so fucking high that if I fall from this distance, I will be atomized upon re-entry.
The next paragraph, I shouldn't have.
Right. Trust me, you'll be fine. And then the It's Always Sunny theme plays. Like, it's like nothing was fine.
So honestly, the intro to this, if this is a study, was literally just like, I'm afraid of heights. Hey, bud, you want to go up a radio tower? I shouldn't have. To get up there, you first have to take a small elevator about 3/4 of the way up. This ride probably only took a couple minutes, but it felt like hours. I stood in this tiny elevator with my friend, hard hat on my head, gloves on my hands, tether with a big metal fucking hook at the end attached to a harness around my sternum, thinking to myself, this is the day I die. Yeah. My buddy tried to console me by saying, hey man, I'm the one who has to lug the heavy tool bag up that tiny ladder, bro. Somehow, his words didn't help. When the elevator doors opened, he practically leapt onto the little platform, and up the old metal ladder, leaving me there in a full view of the world. A burst of cold air hit my face as the wind blew. The platform in front of me was about 3 square feet of metal grating. If I stepped out of that elevator, it would be the only thing between me and the ground. Well, that and, 1,700 feet of atmosphere. For some reason, I peeked my head now out first and looked up. Even though our destination was only a few hundred feet away, it looked like miles. The world spun and my stomach fell to the ground as I looked up at the top of the tower. The edges of my peripheral vision began to shrink as I melted into the corner of the elevator.
Me,
Dude.
yeah.
Yeah. You would not be able to get. Nah, I feel that, but I would at the very least be freaking out a little bit, hanging out in that fucking elevator for a while. You'd have to do some convincing to get my ass down.
I don't know, man. I don't even know if I'd be there.
You'd be in this situation at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, touche with that. Yeah, I wouldn't really be convinced into that anyway. Yeah, you always
Those
have
little
that one
elevators
stupid
that
friend
go
that's
all
like,
the way to
bro.
the top of these fucking buildings, I don't know, man. I don't even trust them.
I didn't even notice that my buddy had joined my level once again. Don't look up, dude. It's even worse than looking down. I'm like, yeah, you already fucking did that. And don't hold the rail so tight or lock your knees like that. Yeah, just don't hold on at all. It's fine. All your blood will go to your extremities and you'll pass out. I urged him to go ahead without me and begged him to swipe his access card and send me back to the ground, but he refused. What a fucking dick. I got a job to do up here, and I need a spotter. You're that guy. Now, man the fuck up.
This is the worst friend ever.
What an asshole. What the fuck? Dude, they didn't even give a name. I fucking hate this guy. This guy's name is Clyde. I hate him. He gave me a few more words of advice before I stood up on shaky legs. Yeah. I thought my knocking knees would vibrate the whole tower. He talked me through my first steps onto the platform. Don't look up, I told myself. So I just focused on the metal of the tower in front of me, staring at nothing but that metal, trying to convince myself that I was on solid ground with every step. Every muscle in my body hurt as I couldn't help but tense up. After a few more words of encouragement, I took my first baby half step towards the ladder and exhaled. I felt every sway of my body. I felt like I was trying to stand on the surface of a wavy ocean. I could feel myself falling even though my feet were firmly planted on the platform. I needed to reach for the ladder, but doing so would require me to let go of the railing next to the elevator, and in my mind, that was the only thing keeping me from floating off the edge. I reached with one hand as far as I could towards the ladder, while keeping the other on that rail. But I just couldn't make it.
Then why would they make it that way? Jesus Christ.
It's built for tall people. What do you mean? This guy's actually 5'4". He was fucked from the beginning. I widened my stance and reached out again. Still short. See, he's short. So I let go of the rail in order to reach the ladder. For that one split second, I was weightless. I don't like that.
Nope.
Nothing but my feet on the platform and my now shaky equilibrium kept me upright. I could practically feel a hand pushing me towards the edge, forcing my reflexes to lean me back. To which I responded by flailing my arms and falling forward, reaching for the only thing I could grip, the ladder. Come on up, man. You're doing great. I could hear fucking Clive fucking chuckling above. Baby step again. Up this time. Nowhere else to go. Other foot. I now had 2 feet on the bottom rung of the ladder. I was hugging it like an old friend I hadn't seen in decades. Every gust of wind felt like a typhoon. Another rung, then another, then another. I worked my way very slowly up the ladder. Before I knew it, I was on another platform, barely big enough for the both of us. My arms and legs were tired than they'd ever been. Even though I'd only ascended 20 or 30 steps, I felt like I'd run back-to-back marathons with wrist weights. My jaw was sore from clenching my teeth. I didn't even realize that the world had gone dark until I heard my buddy's voice. Open your eyes, man.
Nah, I'm good.
I shouldn't have. The first thing I saw was the ladder. The ladder that would take us the rest of the way up. It was not but a series of rungs no wider than my foot, slightly curved upward, protruding from either side of a skinny pole. Do you actually know what
I know
what
these
that?
ones.
Yeah. Okay, I fucking hate this. I actually fucking hate that.
Yep.
This is where you'll need your tether, brah, he said before beginning his ascent. Stay at least 7 rungs behind me and watch my tools, brah. You only have to go up 10 of them. I'm dying. 10 of them and you'll stop while I work, okay? Before I knew what had happened, he was calling for me to climb. Just stare at the metal, I told myself. After 4 rungs, I found out that was impossible. At this height, there was no metal to look at beyond the narrow pole up which I was climbing. Yeah, dude, fuck that. As you're just getting fucking...
There's nothing to look at, man. And then the wind just slaps
tossed.
you.
Yeah, exactly. I was like fucking tossed by the fucking wind.
I can't handle that shit.
I finally saw the view fully. I could practically see the curvature of the earth. Off in the distance and below us, I could see clouds rolling with the wind, which is ever present at these heights. God. My heart fell out of my chest, to the ground. Everything around me was blurry, from the tears in my eyes to the cold gust of winds.
Well, why didn't he give you some fucking goggles or something?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. You have like you were not fucking prepared.
The right shit.
This guy has like a whole backpack full of shit, and he's like, "Yeah, just come on, bro. Like, can I have a hat?" Like,
well, they did say they had hard hats on, which is the least of my concern.
Oh yeah, that is true. Yeah, I agree. Like, I
eyewear,
understand, but
handwear,
like,
footwear, you know, any type of belt or harness that latches onto any part of this.
I look straight down. That's never good. I could see a car pulling up to the tower that was the size of a baby ant. I couldn't see if a person had gotten out. The once distinctive features of the ground below now appeared to be nothing but flat green and brown black background. I could feel myself slipping even though my grip around this ladder was tighter than a vice lock. My ears rung. My head buzzed. My joints ached. I could barely breathe. I couldn't move at all, and I wasn't where I needed to be. I heard the voice of my friend. Don't stop there. I need you to spot me, bro. But I wasn't fucking going anywhere. In my mind's eye, I saw myself falling. I almost felt myself go. Then I saw something dangling in front of my face. A teardrop-shaped cloth hanging from a bright orange strap. It was swung there back and forth in front of my eyes as my friend's voice came into focus. Heads up, brah, he said as the tool bag swung towards my face. My natural reaction was to lean back to avoid the incoming blow. So I did. Somewhat extending my arms from the bear hug. Suddenly I took mental shock of my surroundings. The only thing keeping me attached to this ladder, 1,700 feet above the ground, were my two hands. My very tired hands, attached to my very sore arms. I started to lose grip. God, my friend must have been horrified. From his view, he saw me below him, birds below that, and then nothing but metal, air and earth. And I was pulling away from the metal toward the air and earth because of his dumbass joking attempt to break me out of my trance. He reacted quickly, attaching his tether to the tower and releasing his grip from the ladder to grab my little orange vest before I fell. For a brief second after my hands left the ladder and before his hands got a hold of that vest, I was free falling to my death. Everything that was blurry came into focus. The tower above and below, the rocks below that, the temperature of the air, the sound of the wind, the soreness of my throat. I was acutely aware of each. As he held my vest, himself only attached to the tower by a metal hook attached to the end of a strap that was in turn attached to a harness around his body, I took one last look up at the top of the tower and the sky beyond. I didn't get dizzy. I didn't melt into the lack of the floor beneath me. My vision didn't shrink, it grew. I don't know if it was adrenaline or what, but I suddenly snapped out of it and grabbed his hand, pulling myself back to the tower. Just as he turned his body and started to reach for the ladder, I heard a snap and saw a blur. His hook had broken. He was falling. I was going to watch my friend fall 1,700 feet to his death. Everything slowed to a crawl. I saw him get smaller and smaller until he was nothing but a dot. I saw the dust fly up from the ground upon impact, in my mind at least. Back in the real world, I saw him fall about 20 feet and heard him land hard on the platform just outside the elevator with a ringing thud and an oof as the air in his lungs escaped through his mouth. He looked up at me, wide eyes as his arms and legs hung freely over the edges of the platform now under his back. I don't even remember the trip back down, but I do remember seeing him grip the rail inside the elevator in a manner which I was all too familiar. That was the last day on that job and our last day of friendship. I'm still afraid of heights. I like that one actually. Fuck.
Clenched tight butthole the entire story.
That's a good one though. It's the same theory of like it's simple, but yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that actually. What an asshole.
Oh,
What a
one
fucking
of
asshole.
the top comments is apparently a video of this same exact experience.
Watch it. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it.
Your
Are you just gonna
workplace.
watch it? Just watch it.
I'm at
Of
minute
course, you
one
have
and
to
I see
bring
them
all your
climbing.
tools with you.
No.
That's the
No.
red bag hanging below. It weighs about 30 pounds, and you pull
It's
it up
real, though,
behind
like,
you
I've
all the
definitely
way to
seen-
the top.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen like a few videos of that though. It's
I'm
just
looking at the
wild.
rungs in the pole now. Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
specifically, like the very top
Yep.
fucking
This is called free
extensions.
climbing, meaning that
Fuck
no
that,
safety
where you
lines are
literally
used.
do see the fucking curvature of the earth. No, I'm good.
Free climbing is more dangerous,
like,
of course, but OSHA
just why?
rules do allow for it.
I don't
Attaching,
know. What the fuck?
climbing, attaching, and removing
good, I
safety
enjoyed that.
lines every few
Oh,
feet
man, just
slows
watching this.
transmitter power to the
It's funny
antenna.
because
Oh my God,
honestly,
he's
I
now up
expected.
that feeds
Ugh.
the transmitter power
Above
to
that,
the antenna.
above the pole is even
Inside
worse.
the cage,
No, I don't
you
like
can
that.
now see the
He's on the
transmission
cage
line
part of
that
the
feeds
line.
the transmitter
like
power to the antenna.
I like. I think it's like one of the Far Cries. Even when you do that, like when you climb like the radio towers to like
Yep. For me,
explore
I thought of
the areas.
Tomb Raider. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This section is
No,
the antenna
But
tuner.
no,
It's shaped
you know what
like
you
this
could do?
to allow
Not
for the
that.
expansion and contraction of the
I
transmission
do have to say, I
line
thought
on
it was going to be him that was going to
1700-foot
die.
run to the top.
So,
Well, I
or
didn't
like
think
have like a
anyone was
close
gonna die. I just thought it
encounter
was gonna be
moment.
An awful experience.
Well,
yeah.
I just didn't expect Homie to like actually
Homie to fall. Yeah.
almost die. Yeah. But that was a good little. And then he knew
These
how
spiky
much
flowers
he was
on
being
their
a
long
dick and
stems
how
are
scary
used
that
to
shit was.
attract
Fuck you,
electrical
Clive.
charges in the air.
Clint.
This helps to
What's his name? I don't
dissipate
even
the
know.
charges before they build
This
up to
dude is
create a lightning
literally
strike.
at the top of this fucking thing,
I don't
and
like
he's
it.
not even hooked on. Glitch,
See,
he's not even
that's
hooked
the real
on.
thing.
He's free
That's the real
He's
thing.
freebasing this shit.
That's the real thing. There's so many people. Like
Now
it's like
we've
the dude
reached
that
the
got
base of the antenna.
that like cut
From
off his own
here, it's
arm.
just
You know that
another
he got
60 feet to the top.
exploring in Arizona. Whatever
His
the fuck.
climbing partner is
It's like
now
there's so many
holding
people
the
out in
tool
Colorado
belt
too that
to
are like,
keep it
yeah,
from
I
swinging.
love free climbing. It's totally fun. I'm like, yeah.
Fuck you.
But,
Shut up.
Why?
Keep your feet on the earth.
Yeah. Well, it's like at least put a fucking.
Oh my god,
safety
there's an even
something.
skinnier pole. Oh my god, it's wobbling back and forth as he's climbing it. There's two people climbing it, and it wobbles with every movement. Oh my god.
It's fine.
I'm fucking
No, it's fine.
losing it, man.
No, it's fine. That's fine.
I need
That's
to
fine.
see the top of this thing.
If a storm's blowing through, there's
There's a
no quick
storm.
way down.
There's a storm when he's up there. No.
Dude, you literally are just watching what we just.
The top is in
Describe.
He's
sight,
literally at the top.
and time for another break before transitioning to the top.
Quote unquote taking a break. Jesus Christ. Just looking out. Oh my. Just looking out. Oh my god. Everyone who's watching this, go to YouTube and search Tower Climbers Working by Jen's Widow. Just do it.
Or you could not.
I'm
I
fucking shitting right now, dude.
mean,
This probably doesn't sound entertaining to listen to at all.
That
but
object with the black top
He's at the top!
is the lighting beacon.
He's fixing the lighting beacon at the top of
No.
this fucking
Nope.
thing.
I know.
He is
I've already said
holding
no.
on to a single pole and just standing on this little, I want to say, 2 foot by 2 foot square at the top of this fucking thing.
No.
Quack. There's 2 people standing on this thing.
Duck disapproves.
It's called the Stairway to Heaven, the Climbing Towers. Oh no. Oh,
Like, why
no,
would you
bro.
like? Okay, I don't know. I guess like I understand adrenaline junkie, but like, what are you fucking doing?
Well, I mean, they're
What are you
working.
fucking?
At least
That's
they're
like-
getting paid for it.
yeah,
There are
but-
people that do that shit for
okay.
free. Glitch.
You know, I actually
That break into
that's what I'm
places and climb
saying.
them
Though.
for
That's what
free.
I'm saying.
Just
That's
for
what I'm saying.
clout.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't like that. I don't like that. Get a hobby.
Fuck
Go-
your clout. Fuck where you came from and what you're listening to. All right. I need to get into my
Look at
last
your life.
one.
Look at your choices.
Let's make this one a quick to wrap this up. I'm gonna read one more short story from No Sleep called "Don't Let Them In." which sounds cool. It's a cool title.
Yeah. Let the right one in.
Excuse Me While I Kiss the Sky into Don't Let Them In.
Yeah, I don't even got a song reference for you. Excuse me while I don't let them in.
That's perfect.
There you go.
Addiction took our mother slowly, rocked
That's
her
a rough
through
start.
it, and sung her to sleep, sunk deep into the mattress on her bed.
Kids meth.
The
Meth is a hell of a drug. yeah. Meth is a hell of a drug. End of story.
Rosebud. When her back teeth
Got you.
fell out. When her back teeth
Till the
fell
door
out.
dies.
Fuck.
Okay, done.
When her back teeth fell out, she left them on the side of the bathtub. I was 7, and I kept them in a matchbox.
Meth is a hell of a drug.
Hell of a drug. The missing pieces of her kept safe so she wouldn't be lost forever. So maybe one day we could put her back together. Our house fell down around us, and we tried our best to raise ourselves. The ceilings had water damage, the bottom stairs had dry rot, and in the winters the radiators would bleed rust. But it was still our house, and Annie made it a home. My sister Annie mothered me with lopsided band-aids on bruised knees and lukewarm microwave meals. I don't think Annie's gonna make it out of this one alive. Just a safe prediction.
What do you mean?
Reminiscence. She told me ghost stories and didn't mind when I crawled into her bed.
I'll say if it's not like the microwaved meals that's giving her just cancer. Just feeding cancer.
Oh, kids' cuisine.
No, those are delicious, but I feel like I was dying.
Definitely took some years off of us with all the gushes I ate. Didn't mind
God.
when I crawled into her bed later on, too scared to sleep alone. She taught me to dance, barefoot on the living room carpet, music channel, full volume on the TV, shaking our hips before they were fully grown. She always let me shower first so the water was hot, never complaining when she had to do it cold. She brushed my hair every day before school, even when I screamed and hit her when she caught tangles. Annie was dark-haired like her father, whoever he had been, but I was blonde. Annie was desperate to be blonde too, like Marilyn Monroe, like Mom. I think she thought it would. My mother is Marilyn Monroe. I think she thought it would make them closer and remind Mom less of her dad. I'd give anything for her to have her hands in my hair one more time, even if it hurt. She moved to New York when I turned 18 and never came back. I still dream about her sometimes. Keeping up with our mother was impossible, and we learned from a young age we would always be left behind. It didn't make it any easier. When she was drinking light, she shone. Would wake us up at 3 a.m. with pancakes dripping in cherry syrup. Sometimes when the weather was right and she'd have enough being drunk alone, she would call up our school and tell them we had both come down with summer sickness and we'd drive to the beach instead. I remember being 9 years old. Yeah, I mean, those are the fun days. When you're only lightly toasted and wouldn't get a DUI for driving your kids to the beach.
Yeah.
I remember being 9 years old in the backseat of a car coming home after one of our ocean days, sucking the salt from my fingers. Annie had just dyed her hair blonde, her best friend Jane helping her bend over our kitchen sink. And from behind I couldn't tell who was mother and who was daughter, radio up, windows down, blowing the sky inside. When she was drinking heavy, she'd be out all night, hair piled up like a beauty queen, eyes glazed over and ringed with glitter and black. Sometimes she'd gone a day or two. She would never tell us when one day we'd just wake up to an empty house and the fridge packed full, post-it note on the front with the smear of Mom's lipstick and the outline of a kiss, telling us she'd be back soon. Sometimes she'd bring guys home, filling the table with beer cans and ashtrays, smoking up to the ceiling. My mom lost in the haze. We'd sleep with pillows over our heads, trying to drown out the music that they would blast until the late a.m. and wake up to strangers at our kitchen table in the morning, asking us where we kept the coffee. When Mom drank,
could be some other sounds, bro.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that, though. When my mom drank too little, she fell apart. She wouldn't even buy food, the refrigerator a gaping hole in the wall. She chain smoked, leaving cigarette burns on the wallpaper up by the stairs like the walls were sick and decaying. And she barely slept, walking around with blue half-moons under her eyes, knuckles raw.
Yeah, that's where we draw the line. No putting cigarettes out on the fucking wallpaper.
She would scream at the slightest thing. I remember once when I spilled a glass of juice on the couch, and she looked over at me with dead eyes and dragged me off onto the carpet and took every single cushion off the couch and into the backyard to set them on fire.
Why?
Overreaction.
Meth is a hell of a drug. Yeah, dude. What the
Annie
fuck?
went to watch a while from the window and then sat next to me on the floor, backs pressed against the skeletons of the seats, head resting on the crater of my collarbones. When Mom drank too much, she was the worst. She'd laugh too loud and too long at anything and everything until her mouth started to shake and she started crying. At the breakfast table, into her cereal.
Okay, but that's just me when I'm drunk, honestly.
It's me every day.
Yeah.
That's me sober. Annie shut down.
Okay.
Annie shut down when Mom was like this, went somewhere deep inside herself where nobody could hurt her. She'd stay up until the morning watching old black and white movies on TV, whispering the lines she knew by heart, like prayers. When I was 5, I'd cry when I'd find my mom passed out cold on her bed. Sure, she would never wake up. Annie would wipe my tears, tell me she was only sleeping just like the princess in my storybook, and we'd sit on Mom's bed together and wait for her to wake up. When we were older, I was the one who would pick Mom up off the bathroom floor again, and Annie would put her to bed, smoothing her hair off her face and the vomit from her mouth, changing
Super
her
sad?
clothes. What?
I was like, super sad.
Yeah. Changing her clothes if she pissed herself. Watching them then, there was no doubt that Annie was the mother now.
I am the mother now.
Whew, tough fucking lives. We dove into the realism for the second half. It was October and I was 13. Annie, 16. It was a Wednesday night and Mom had been gone for 2 days. She'd called us that morning from a payphone. Voice slurring down the line, telling us she was having the best time with all her new friends, hoping we were doing fine, and when she asked me if I was having a good birthday, I hung up on her. My birthday had been the day before. Annie had given me a pile of presents, strawberry lip gloss, glittery nail polish. I didn't ask where she got the money from. I didn't care. We'd taken the bus to the beach with Jane, eating the birthday cake she made for me, and getting into the frosting. Tastes like sweetness and sea. I savored every bite. Sand, getting into the frosting. Oh yeah. It tasted like sweetness in the sea, and I savored every bite and scrape of sugar against my teeth. We watched the sun go down, Annie snapping grainy photos on her shitty Nokia as I blew out my candles, wishing over and over that Mom wouldn't come home, that she'd just stay gone this time. But that Wednesday night, me and Annie weren't speaking. Anger hung heavy between us, seeping through the floorboards. It began when she tripped at the bottom of the stairs, and we'd both laughed, Annie throwing her head back, a gap between her front teeth, catching the light. When I bent to pick her up, I'd caught her breath warm against the freckles on my cheeks. I let go of her arms and she fell again, hitting the floor and grinning, shaking her hair from her face. Her breath was heavy with whiskey. I couldn't start picking her up, too. I couldn't watch her fall again and again. Just like Mom, I knew she'd never get back up. I'd stared down at her, blonde hair fallen into her eyes, and all I could see was our mother. And then I was running, feet slamming the hallway like heartbeats turned loose. I'd run for the kitchen, tipped every bottle we had down the sink, shoving Annie back as she fought to stop me, catching liquor on her fingers as it fell. She grabbed my shoulders and made me drop the very last bottle, and it smashed between us on the floor, glass shards shining like we dragged the stars out of the sky and broken them, pieces we could never put back. Outside, through the open windows, the sky turned pale gold. Clouds, a mess of pink and cream smeared across the horizon. I cried then, watching Annie on her knees, picking up the pieces. That was Annie. always trying to fix things, even when it was too late. The smell of the food dragged me from my room, stomach-turning traitor inside my rib cage. Annie was cooking pasta. Creepy pasta. Real food, not made in a microwave. She'd set the table. Tammy Wynette singing softly from the CD player. Annie gently swaying her hips as she stirred the tomato sauce, rich and warm. As we ate in silence, with every bite I forgave her. Mom never cooked dinner, or remembered my favorite was spaghetti ever since I was a kid, or stayed sober long enough to set up a table. Annie wasn't Mom. We were washing the dishes when we first heard it. A moth was crawling down the inside of the pane, and I cracked the window to let it out into the dark. From the backyard came a faint sound. I tilted my head to listen as it was coming far off. Crying. I figured it was Mika, the 2-year-old next door, having a tantrum loud enough for us to catch, or maybe even Lucky Strike, the cat, the junkies down the street, begging for food like he sometimes did. I always wanted to feed him like he came around, winding over my ankles, but Annie always stopped me, saying once you started giving, they'd never stop taking. Looking back, I don't think she was talking about the cat. Annie flipped the Christmas lights strung up around the porch, and we sat on the plastic beach chairs watching the skies. When we were little, we'd sit outside, and Annie would tell me the names of all the constellations and the stories of how they came to be hung up in the night sky. And I had to grow up before I realized she made them all up as she went along. It was a game we still liked to play now, making up ridiculous stories for the shapes we could pick out. Ah, yes, that one there is the Coors Light. It got there when God dropped it out of the convertible window and never picked it up, she said, nodding sagely and hiding her smile. Of course, I said, waving my hands and pointing up past the power lines. Right next to the ashtray, left there by angels on a smoke break. Yeah, they say that if you wish on it, all your dreams will come true, said Annie, grinning. She stopped laughing, voice quieter, face tilted up to the dead stars. Let's wish, Emmy. Let's wish. And so we did. The sound of crying interrupted us. It was closer this time. Definitely human. We turned to each other confused. Annie shrugged and I squinted out into the blackness. It sounded like a baby, lost, tired, alone. It must be Mika, I said, slowly getting to my feet. Maybe he walked around the back. Shit, do you want me to call Connie and tell her we'll bring him over? Annie didn't reply, and I sighed, rolling my eyes. Guess I'll do everything then. I stepped off the porch, grass soft against my heels. The air smelled like it might rain, fresh and clean and growing. A promise unfulfilled. Em! Annie's voice was strained. I turned to her, smiling. It died on my face when I saw the look on her own. Em, get inside, now. She was staring out into the dark, past me, opening the door with one hand behind her, fingers fumbling on the latch. I froze, barefoot in the dirt. I'd found what she was looking at. In the bushes, by the back fence, was a person. Crouched with their knees tucked up neat under their chin, arms wrapped around their legs. Their mouth hung, wide open, softly opening and closing as he cried. Like a child, lost in the dark. Not like a child, but like someone pretending, mimicking the sound, open and closed out in the blackness. Suddenly they straightened, snapping upright face, still hidden by the black. They were tall, thin, too thin to be normal. Panic made me move, animal instincts left over from the days we lived up in the trees, carrying me forward. I was faster than Annie, dragging her inside and slamming the door behind us, hearing it bounce on its hinges as I locked it. We watched as the person slowly walked toward the house, steps deliberate and long. Annie reached for my hand, holding me tight, and turned me to face her, holding my shoulders. Don't turn around, Emmy. Don't turn around. Instinctively, I started to look over my shoulder out into the darkness. Annie grabbed my face hard and shook her head. I knew that...
Don't do it, don't do it, I cannot do it!
I'm gonna do it! I knew then she was serious. Her voice cracked and she cleared her throat, gripping my hand tight enough to hurt, nails digging in and grounding herself. I looked down at our fingers interlocked, both of us grown from the same bones. I'm gonna call the cops, and everything is going to be... Her voice faltered, stuttering. Tears spilled over her lashes, dripping like the promise of rain. Annie never cried. Your phone's on the porch, she whispered. And bile crawled its way up my throat. Her phone was upstairs, charging. A soft tap, tap, tapping filled the silence. Annie turned to the window, eyes white, showing her eyes. Eye whites showing her eyes were so wide. It was the sound of someone's forehead against the glass, slowly, over and over. They started to speed up, faster and harder, skin meeting glass until they were slamming into the window hard enough to shake the panes. The tapping stopped and I was about to ask Annie if I could look now when she screamed, followed by the sound of cracking glass and the loudest slam yet. Whoever was in our yard had just smashed their face hard enough into the window to break it. We ran upstairs, two at a time, skipping the ones caved in with dry rot on instinct. I turned behind me once Annie and I yanked my face back before I could see. The sound of broken glass echoed behind us as we made it to the bathroom, locking the door. A thin, wailing cry, like a baby calling for its mother, filled the hallway, trapped between the walls and the locked doors. Annie threw her back against the door, feet jammed up against the bathtub, clutching the knife she had grabbed from the kitchen.
Yeah.
I did the same,
Get 'em.
shoulder to shoulder. Slow footsteps started on the stairs, deliberate and casual. The crying had become mocking, almost laughter, shrill bursts of sound, and then giggles, high-pitched and abruptly stopping before starting again. The first door on the upstairs floor was my bedroom, and we heard the distinct sound of it slamming open. They were looking for us. What the fuck is going on? I asked Annie, honestly sane.
I don't fucking know either.
Not even bothering to brush away the tears that I couldn't stop falling.
You fucking tell me.
I watched my sister pick herself up off the floor and brace her hands on the door as we heard the sound of a second door slam open.
I guess also just like imagine being like super fucked up and then you just like encounter, you're like, what the fuck? Like,
That sobers you real quickly, though.
oh yeah.
Whenever you go into panic mode when you're actually fucked up, that sobers you real fucking quick.
Yeah.
As we heard the sound of the second door slamming open, it was Mom's room. The next room on the hallway was the bathroom. Annie pulled me to my feet and handed me the knife, and I shook my head and pushed it back to her, terrified of what would happen if I had to use it. Annie shoved it at me and pressed the knife into my hands, thumbs pressing hard enough on the blade to bleed, and I watched my sister's blood drip down her wrist, a winding red road still pushing its hand despite the pain. I took the knife. Something slammed against the wall that Mom's room shared with the bathroom. A high-pitched wail followed. I held my breath, could feel my heart beat in the base of my throat, a wild and frantic thing. I'm gonna get the phone from my room. I shook my head violently, about to argue, but Annie clamped a hand over my mouth. I could taste the blood on her hand, salty and sweet like birthday cake by the ocean. Yes, I'm gonna get the phone, and I'm gonna call the cops, and we're gonna be okay. I shook my head again. It's the only way.
I'm not
When I
gonna
go,
be
I need you to lock
okay.
the door, and you don't open it for anything or anyone. Not for me, not for anyone. Promise me. I shook my head, and Annie pressed her hand into my mouth, crushing my teeth against my lips so it made my eyes water. Yes. Promise me, Em. Something smashed in the room next door, and Annie brushed the hair off my face, gently tucking it behind my ear. "Promise," she mouthed, and unlocked the door as slowly as possible, bolt scraping gently. I watched the curve of her shoulder disappear into the black hall outside, like the moon eclipse, and then she was gone. I couldn't move or breathe for a second, and then I slammed the bolt shut just as something bounced off the outside of the door. A high-pitched scream followed, handle rattling up and down hard enough to pop one of the screws. I watched it roll toward me on the tile, and then silence. I sat with my back to the door, holding the knife and wishing I was holding Annie's hand instead. Still silence. Nothing but me and my lungs, slowly filling the room with my breath. "Em?" came a voice through the door. I started, hands gripping the knife. "Honey, what's going on?" "Mom?" my voice cracked. "Mama, is that you?" I wrapped my arms around myself, shaking, trying to keep myself still. "Sweetie, it's okay. Just open the door. It's
Open
okay.
the door.
It's okay.
It's
Just let me
fine.
in.
It's fine. I'm not dead.
Fine." The handle rattled again, gentler. "Just let me in. It's all okay." She banged on the door, and I took my hand off the bolt. "Honey, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I missed your birthday. I'm sorry I'm such a terrible mother. Please." Her voice broke, and she started to cry. "Just let me in, baby. I'm sorry." I screwed my eyes shut. She sounded so sad and so lost. I just wanted her to hold me like when I was a kid and I'd come in off the swings with a scraped knee. Maybe this time she meant it. Maybe it would all be okay. My hand found its way to the bolt again, and my sister's voice came through. My sister's voice came through the door, warm and gentle. "Yeah, Emily, let us in. It's all okay."
It's not okay.
It's not okay. My hand
Don't
froze
do
on the
it.
bolt as I tightened my grip on the knife. Annie never called me by my full name. A hand banged on the door, handle rattling. "Emily, let us in." Annie's voice became low and guttural, followed by the same shrill giggles from before. Mom spoke now, pleading and crying, voice getting louder and louder. "Let us in, let us in, let us in," over and over, punctuated by her fists on the door. I thought about demons and monsters and all the bedtime stories we prayed don't crawl out from under the bed. "That's not my sister, and you're not my mother," I screamed through the door, hands over my head. I climbed into the bathtub and curled into a ball, cradling myself, knife clutched to my chest. I didn't know what it was outside that door, but I knew it wasn't Annie. It wasn't the voice that yelled at me when I changed the TV channel, the one that sang me happy birthday, the one that told me I was smart even when I got bad grades, the one that read me stories about princesses that never wake up. It wasn't human. Bangs and yells came from downstairs, followed by footsteps of people running. A low guttural howl ripped through the house, filling the room until I felt like it was drowning in sound, and then the door was kicked in. I screamed, covering my eyes, wanting to die, and arms found me and lifted me from the tub, carrying me from the room. I looked at the outside of the door as I was carried downstairs, and it was covered in long, scraping claw marks, dragged down to the floor. Pillows ripped apart covered the hallway and soft down like it had snowed inside. I watched them drift slowly as men in uniform checked each of the rooms that looked like they had been torn apart by something feral. Outside in our driveway were police cars and an ambulance. In the middle of it all was Annie, bathed in blue and red light as it washed over her, lit up and dark like a neon angel, face aglow. I threw myself from the cop's shoulder and ran to her, holding us both together, broken pieces and all, standing under the constellations we made up. Gentle screaming
Look, it's
came...
the Marlboro Star constellation. I see the ashtray.
The ashtray.
The ashtray. It's just an ass and an ash in the middle.
There I see it, the screaming demon of my forever nightmare. Gentle screaming came from the ambulance, which rocked occasionally. Annie gently turned my head away, smiling so sadly it made my chest ache as I understood. Turns out there was no demon, no wild animal or bad men trying to break in. It was just Mom, out of her mind on booze and drugs and everything in between, coming to the end of a week-long binge. Something had finally broken inside her head, and this time we couldn't put her back together no matter how hard we tried. Sometimes you fall one last time, and you never get back up. Annie had seen her in the garden, blood dribbling from her mouth, track marks bulging on her forearms like unmapped roads, rail thin and desperate for one more hit, one more fix. She'd searched the kitchen for it, for all the drink I'd thrown away, and when she hadn't found it, had come on the hunt for the stash that she had in the bathroom. She hadn't wanted me, just the drugs on the other side of the door, so high she could mimic Annie's voice almost perfectly. Turns out the real monsters are the ones that eat you alive slowly, the kind that come in a bottle, or a needle, or at the end of a long list of reasons why you can't get out of bed in the morning. Sometimes the monsters are the ones that raise you, or love you, the most. But it's up to you, if you can let them in. This is pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
I have a collection of stories like that we haven't tapped into because I always feel like mentally they go to a very distressing and depressing location, and I've saved them, and I don't know if I'm ever going to read them on the show because they're all very
borderline
mental, addictive, drug, depressing, suicidal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't know if I'm comfortable going there. Addiction is okay. Addiction we can talk about because I've never actually had a problem with addiction. But
I mean, like, some of these just are, get to a different category. That's like,
Oh yeah.
It's just
I've read enough no sleep in my time to know that it can
I was
go
gonna
in
say,
pretty
like,
much any fucking direction.
And, like, I don't know, I feel like even halfway through this, until, like, halfway into this, you're just like, okay, it's just gonna be a sad story. What's going on? Like.
Yeah, from
And
the beginning,
until
talking
the
about the
last...
mom so much, I was like, that has to be the twist, The twist has to be that the mom is at the heart of this. If it wasn't going to be her, it was going to be one of her druggy, duped up friends or something, telling her to go to her place to get her stash or something. Like, I saw it coming, but I was waiting for the execution.
Yeah.
And it...
Yeah, I was like, how are they going to twist this?
It didn't do anything new or crazy or interesting, but it was still written very well.
Yeah, I do agree with that. The last paragraph, just when Annie had seen her in the garden, blood dribbling from her mouth, track marks bulging over her forearms, like unmapped roads, like, okay, all right, fuck.
Yeah. When you've actually seen someone who's like fucked out of their mind. Yeah, man.
That's fun.
Out of all four of them, I think I had the most visceral reaction to the "Excuse me while I kiss the sky."
What do you mean? You were freaking out the entire time that I was reading it? What are you talking about?
Bugging the entire time you were fucking reading that. But that being said, I do kind of think that the faces and the flowers is still fucking cool.
Yeah.
And
I think the two were good. They definitely weren't bad. The wind
from the north. Like, it's interesting how both of them were kind of supernaturally naturey, and then we had two kind of real fears. So it's like no sleepish stories kind of have this spectrum of going in either of those directions, right? Over time we've seen that they dabble in somewhere in the middle most of the time between realism and supernatural. But today we got the split. We got the split,
really hard split.
Of just good storytellers talking about real shit. And then we got people who want to write the creepypasta supernatural shit.
Yeah, I mean, you got the thick-thighed, forest demon, and then just the comparison on the other side is, fucking heights.
Fucking heights.
Fucking heights.
Keeping it that simple. Heights and addiction.
I'm gonna
Heights
send you
and
so many
addiction.
stupid videos now. Now that I know that you,
Dude,
I can definitely hit
I've
that.
watched them all because it's
oof.
part of. I get pleasure out of putting myself in that type of situation where I want to see them.
See, that's
fall.
what I'm saying. That's where the Outlast
There's a
thing
movie
comes
that
back
came
to
out
it.
recently called Climb that I've refused to watch because I know
I have
it's about
seen.
it's about two girls trapped at the top of a bowl.
Yeah.
Is it bad?
I've seen that. I don't know. I was gonna say I've seen that exists. I haven't actually seen
Oh,
it.
you
though.
haven't seen the movie, but
No,
you
no.
agree with me that it exists. Yeah. Yeah.
But
I don't know
but
if
there
I
is
can watch that.
a channel on YouTube. I'll have to actually look who it is, but it's like the Something Brothers. But
Yeah.
if you ever see like exploring, and it's like the whatever the fuck brothers, like they do some wild shit.
Yeah.
Like
It's like
some of
two
them will
young skinny dudes, right?
I want to say yeah, that actually makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen them before.
Maybe twins. It might be twins. But either way, they like do like fucking like old abandoned like industrial like reactor buildings and shit. And they're taking Geiger counters and fucking
Yeah.
tiny little boats, like
Yep.
like single. Yeah. Just it's fucking wild. Fuck that though.
Yeah, no. Big old fuck that.
Like
Big
I
old
used to
fuck
like look
that.
at look for abandoned buildings in New York, but it's like no, totally
Oh,
different.
I did that shit.
1000%
I did that
different.
shit all over PA. I literally did that
Yeah,
shit
well,
all
because
over PA.
like you have,
I have
I mean,
videos about it.
yeah. I was to say, I feel like a lot of art college with our photo majors, because upstate New York and general East Coast has like all these small towns. Like you'll have like fucking look at Centralia,
Yep.
like, but yeah, every town has like so many fucking abandoned buildings. It's like, because even like back, because of all the insane asylums and shit like that. Like if you go out like on the edge of Jersey, shit like that. There's just so many fucking crazy fucking buildings to look through, dude. But yeah.
I definitely did that kind of these areas were shut down XYZ, outside PA, but all they had to do was duck, under some fence and it's pretty much free reign, free territory, free, always worried about squatters, never ran into any.
Yeah.
Always had like a sandwich and like a beer on me just to kind of assuage a squatter if I came by them, but like never had to use either. Always had like a knife or something on me, because I never wanted to be caught, defenseless.
See, I think I was like maybe too young at the time to like.
Oh, this was.
I knew that it was a thing, but it's like, yeah, I was like
geocached and shit when I was
just turned
teen.
into my teens.
I geocached when I was like a teen, but I didn't start quote unquote urban exploring until I was in my 20s.
See, I just did that shit when I was young, so you'd just be like, I'd be bored after class, like middle school, high school, or
Walk
some
off
shit.
into the
We'd
forest.
fucking yeah, exactly. And
Never to be
the
seen
worst
again.
thing I've ever experienced, I think I've said this on the podcast too, but fucking an old little abandoned shack down like past the fucking like off the Hudson River, basically, like where my hometown is. But like literally a tiny little shack and just a fucking homeless dude with a shotgun. Whether he's homeless or not, I don't fucking know. But it was just a man with a shotgun came out of a shed. I ran.
Yeah, don't need any more excuses.
Yeah,
honestly,
exactly,
for
exactly.
whatever's going on there. Not fucking
ow.
worth it.
Ow, I am.
And
That's my final
already
statement.
done.
It's locked in. It's locked in, Regis.
Oh shit!
I don't know. I'm making millionaire references now.
Which do you think was your favorite story that we read today?
I kind of like the last one just because it was like, I like because we kind of talked about this earlier. I like the fucked up shit. Yeah, I kind of like the fucked up shit.
That's fine.
I was just like,
That's
it's kind of
acceptable.
gritty. You're like, oh, not even that. Like the monster was really us all along. It's that like mother's coked out doing or fucked up on something fucking.
Also fair.
Yeah, like doing some crazy fucking crazy ass shit. She is the monster.
Ass shit.
You're like, oh god, mom. You're like, oh fuck. But I think the first two were like nice and subtle and fun.
Yeah.
And it's like a It's like a
Didn't do anything wrong, just didn't do anything
spooky
crazy.
like stories to tell in the dark kind of thing. The
Yeah.
tower was like, I feel that,
Yeah, the
but
tower
I
is like,
definitely
I feel like something I never want to experience.
yeah. But that was fun. That was a good.
I'm not saying any of the other experiences are all that better. It's just that is one that is real that can happen that I hope never happens.
Because it's even like you don't really have to even be too descriptive on that to be like, nope, I know that. I hate it. I already hate it. Oh,
Yeah.
I hate it. Oh, and there's an asshole up
Yeah.
there with you. I fucking hate him. Oh, he almost
And it
died.
goes to
Cool.
show
Fuck
that the
him
way
too.
that the person even wrote it is, it's a power to them as authors to
Yeah.
actually sell that, to actually write a good story around that feeling, the inertia, the vertigo, the blurriness of vision, the weightlessness of being up at that height. Like I said, like there was something peaceful and beautiful about jumping out of an airplane, but when the gravity reintroduced the minute my parachute fucking opened up and I
Screaming, crying,
realized I was
screaming,
just
crying, screaming,
gliding
crying.
slowly to the ground, I was not enjoying myself at that point,
I just see the landing is just like you hear like coming in like just yelling. Hold on, just and you like land, but you've like slid on your butt and you're stationary, nothing's moving, but you're still screaming.
The worst part honestly was the fact that these harnesses are just they're like laced around your thighs, but the
Yeah,
minute
I've heard
gravity
this
is
as well.
reintroduced, right up to your balls. It just
Yeah,
squeezes
I've
your
heard the
fucking
same thing.
nuts. Just
I've
squeezes
actually
your
very much
fucking
heard
nuts.
that.
Gravity is a bitch.
You're like, oh shit, I'm getting heavier, I'm getting heavier, I'm getting heavier. My balls, my balls, my balls. God damn it,
That
god damn it.
literally
Okay,
was
I'm on the
me
ground.
the last like I want to say 3 minutes. The 3 minutes in parachute time that it takes you to get to the ground from an actual like 300 feet in the air, like it was me going ow 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 ow, like can you loosen that, can you loosen, and then my dude did that thing where like to help they release like the pressure of the first like safety harness,
Yeah.
so you get that like foot drop off of their body, and he didn't warn me that he was doing it, and I literally fucking screamed when he did it to me. He's like, this might help,
That's
and then
fucking
goes
great.
click, and I fucking drop a foot.
I'm going forever.
But
Like
yeah, I landed
that's
perfectly
the moment
fine.
that I'm
My
like,
my
I'm fucking
landing was
out.
actually I landed on my own 2 feet. I didn't fall or anything. He
Nice.
told me to kind of brace a certain way, and it was really gentle. The dude was a master on the wind that day because he just floated us down. But it didn't help the fact that my fat ass was squeezing my chestnuts up into my fucking lower abdomen.
Like my stomach hurts so bad. Why?
My
Because the
my
fucking
cock and
nuts are
balls are now above my
there.
intestines. Yeah, it sucked.
I
But it was cool. I have a
Hannah
video of the
says this
whole
pretty
thing.
constantly for like horror movies. If she's like that's my nope moment, she'll just be like, nah, that's a moment that I'll just kill myself. Fuck it. That would be the moment that she would insert. Be like, yep, the nut pain.
I'm
Nope,
good.
I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, you dropping me? You're dropping me, sir. Fuck it. This is the time. Just
Let
full
it
send
happen.
it. Let me go. Yeah.
Send it. Let's go.
Gonna
Oh
just drop
shit.
me a foot in the fucking air without telling me? Yeah, no, just let me go. Just let it all
Just
happen. It's
finish it.
fine. Yeah, I don't even want to be here anymore.
Oh fuck. Well, glitch. Glitch blob.
And you didn't even find the fucking thing that you were trying to fucking
No,
find.
I gave up. No.
Okay. Well, L
I
Sir
gave up.
Captain more to death, Mortimer.
Yep.
I don't know what
That's my name.
L Sir the Captain.
Yep. That's how it works. With here with today's host, Glitch Blob. Thank you for
Yeah.
hosting. Thank you for hosting Lots of Pasta. It's been real being here with you, and What, you got any final words for the audience? Yeah, figured as much. Honestly, I was
Yeah,
like, which
really.
button
Did
is
you?
he gonna
Yeah,
press?
yeah. Did you really? Yeah, did you really expect anything
Nah,
else?
you
Really?
set me
Yeah,
up for it.
yeah.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Okay. Goodbye. I didn't even make a joke.